All rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Present.
Councilman Cypress.
Here.
Councilman Larka.
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Supervisor Heck.
Here. Notations, exits in the front and the rear in electronic device. Please put it on vibrate. I make a motion to come out of executive session. No action was taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First item on the agenda tonight is discussion update town water sewer district rates for 2023. Rodney? When we left, after our next meeting, you were going to prepare for the town to review the rates of the various districts in the town, 9 water and the 3 sewer. You've come up with some new numbers, not quite what we were hoping for, but some were lowered, some are unchanged, and I'd like you to help explain to the public where we're at with that.
Sure. I don't know if there are some familiar faces, I believe, but my name is Rod Brown. I'm president of Muni Management. We assist municipalities in different facets of their day-to-day. Been hired by the town of Southeast to be the special district's administrator for the wastewater and water, and was given a project recently where the rate letters had gone out, and some of the rates are excessive. So I was asked to look at the different budgets and try and come up with why this was or how this happens. And I'm a numbers person. I don't know what drives some of the decisions, so can't go there. I can look at where you stand financially and suggest what might be a more appropriate rate. And then take any questions, and just if there's people that are, not satisfied with how this is going, then I'd be happy to sit down with any number of you and go through the budget. We've already saw Mr. Schwartz, and so it's not my general. I like getting the information out. I like the communications part. I hope everybody here is on the alert system, because that's pretty much the way in which this is going to go out. That is driven through the website, so we can get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask if there's, I don't really want to go over the districts where nobody's present, just to keep it short of time. I mean, I don't know if you object to that at all, but...
No, I mean, the people that have the greater interest, the ones that have the largest increases, the ones that are unchanged.
Right, no, that's why. But, I mean, I'd like to go over to Springhouse. Is anybody here from Springhouse? Okay, there we go.
Rod, can I just interrupt? Can maybe just go through what you reviewed
Sure.
before you mention the individual districts? and
Okay, I thought, okay.
suggestions? Yeah.
It's easier if I do that with one of my sheets that doesn't
Yeah,
have
that's fine.
commas in the numbers. But we have a person here from Springhouse, so we'll discuss that one, I guess. There's so many of them here. There we go.
And that's-
Okay, Springhouse. What we did for each district, and this is just water, it's not the sewer, okay? But each district, oh, okay, they put this up on here. This document will be sent out in the alert system when it's finalized, hopefully next week. Now, what I did was I took the budget, the 2022 budget, and I saw what the revenue was that they had budgeted for revenue, what was budgeted for the expense for the year, and we came up with the actual, after December 2022, we have actual numbers. So the revenue the revenue they expected to collect at the town of Southeast, or the district actually, was $170,640. The actual amount they took in was $177,227. So they took in $6,600 more than was expected. They had $302 less expensive So it put it about $6,900 that was put to fund balance. Now, fund balance is, well, it's like a bucket. It's a line where monies go in and they're used during the year. They're generally resolved at the end of the year. If you come up short, you pull from that account. There's no real formula as to how much money should be in a fund balance, okay? So some of these have a fund balance of $118,000. Other ones have $36,000. Some of them are in the red, okay? Springhouse happens to be, well, it's got a good fund balance, okay? The revenue didn't meet the revenue met the expense in 2022, and the rate is being reduced. It's being reduced from $800 to $775. Now, that's relative. If you take what is this year's expected revenue, divide it by the number of connections, divide it by the quarters, that rate should be $781. So $775 is a good number for this district. It's just, you know, the $6 is not something that is going to make or break the district, okay? So the $775, perfect. It's going down $25. It is what it is. If once they, you know, when they, on here we have what's debt. They have $91,000 or $92,000 payment every year. The balance, the balance on 12/22 was $1,442,320. So it matures in 2029. So there's, you know, another 6 years of paying it. This rate, I'm not, you know, once that gets paid, that's no longer an expense. You got a good plant. We've talked to the operators, what needs to be done. And it really boils down to that would probably be looking at a rate reduction 2030, okay? That's what I can see at this point. Something unbeknownst happens and we have some Department of Health mandate and you end up having to filter MTBEs or the PFAS or PFOs, which have been tested and everything's fine. You know, but I can't anticipate what the Department of Health is going to do. So at this current state, Springhouse is in a good way. They got a good fund balance. They're paying off their debt, and their rate got reduced. So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just one question. What
Andy,
can you come
if
to
you
the
don't mind,
mic?
would you just come up so
Oh,
everyone can
yeah.
hear you and get it on the mic, please? We know you, but state your name for the record, please.
address too?
No. Just
Andrew
Springhouse is
Scheer.
fine.
Okay. I just want to know what the actual fund balance is.
Sure. Well, okay.
I can't see that, so.
No. An approximate, and again, that's something we, right now, it's $117,616.
Okay. That includes the $60-some-odd $100 from last year, from 2022?
That is up to 2022. We don't know until the year 2023 happens. I put an approximate one here. I'm saying, you know, given the rate, if we're not collecting the $6 that you're expecting.
Stay toward the mic so everyone can hear, please.
I'm sorry? Oh.
People,
It's for the recording, yeah.
Oh, okay. On this sheet here, it shows a fund balance dropped, what is that? $600. That's because it should be $781, but it's $775. So in order to meet expenses, if the expense budget part of this is 100% correct, right? If they say we're going to pay $1,200 for electric and we pay $1,202, it's a problem. It's not a problem, but you can't get that specific. So given that it should be, maybe be 781,
I got it.
so that the fund balance after this, you're not gonna be putting any money in fund balance, so.
Okay, so
That-
okay, that was my next question, okay? Within the 775, are we trying to increase the fund the system is 40 years old, okay? The plant is only, what, 9 years, 10 years, 10, 12 years old?
Correct.
But the system itself is 40 years old. So my question is, you know, are we trying at any point to increase the fund balance year to year to year to anticipate replacement of various parts of the system
Well, that's-
when they come due, or are we just winging it like we did previously and then go into 2 million some odd
Well, I don't think
$100,000 in debt?
I don't know that you'll ever, you're gonna have to raise your rate. To get a $2 million fund balance, you're gonna have to.
No,
have some
I'm not, I'm not looking to get a $2 million fund balance.
But, well,
I'm just asking, you know,
right, and we have, in 2029, which is what, 6
Yes.
years, yeah? There'll be a $92,000, now, at some point, if we get here in this position and you say, listen, I want my rate reduced, I don't want that 92, that 92 would end up going into fund balance, right?
okay.
So, I mean, in all hopes, if everything stays the same and all the rest, but, so you would be putting that in there, but if you said, or the group decides we want a $700 rate, then we have to look at how much that's gonna generate for fund balance, or if you think that, listen, you might reach a point where you say, $300,000 is plenty
Yep.
for fund balance. And you might even reach that, you know, is it possible? Yeah, but
Hey, Rod,
it's future type stuff. you know.
I'm just,
I
Okay.
appreciate the question, I don't know that I can answer it as
they
well as you want.
they understand where I'm coming from, so.
You know,
Okay.
hey, Rod, I think his question is just, rather than looking at this a single year like you were tasked this time, are you going to be looking to the future and plan for those events, rather than just
Right.
changing the
Well,
rate
one
up
of
and
the
down
things
each
that I
year?
found interesting in doing this is that in all the budgets I've ever done, and I've done quite a few of them, I go to a department, so say he's the highway department, he's the best person to tell me, I mean, the supervisor of the highway department, not just the highway. He's the best person to tell me what he needs, right? I went to our operators who have been there, I think, 10 years, maybe more, right, JCO? And I said, okay, you tell me what you contributed to these budgets. They said, we have never done anything with the budget. I said, but in your contract, you're meant to give us a capital projects and improvement report, right? Every year. So they're supposed to say, Springhouse, we're looking at that pump, it's 10 years old. It has a life of 10 years. You're looking to buy another one of them. We got this issue here, we got that issue there, and we work it into the budget. That's never happened.
Right, so
Okay,
that's, so the answer is that.
that's gonna happen going
next year you're
forward
gonna do
because
it, yeah.
I'm not, these guys know what's going on day to day. I'm there 4 days out of the week, but I gotta rely, you know, it's just, they know more about the system. They should be the person that's been asked about these things, and they should provide a capital improvement report.
so right now, everything is pretty much current day. To plan for the future, almost impossible. You see the rates for what they are now, that's just keeping one step ahead of the game at some point in time.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna get on solid footing here, and we're gonna get some of these things that, you know,
But we're not gonna put together some kind of a plan, because there's no way of planning, I think, for breakage of pipes. I mean, it happens, we fix it, okay? Like you mentioned yours, I mean, Bruce
no,
Heights.
but what we used to do is footage, like, we knew they came to us and they said, listen, you're gonna have to replace this 800 feet of main, okay? And we say, oh, what's that gonna cost? Well, we could do this section this year, that section next year, this section the following year, 2 years down the road to get to that part. You don't have to do it all at once.
No.
So you got a plan, you can work with it.
But these numbers, those numbers are not in what you're seeing tonight. That will be hopefully in the future.
Correct. We got, you said 4 months, right? We'll be doing this
No,
again?
no, no, that's the short future, the long-term future.
Oh, yeah, no, we're gonna get I'm gonna get I'm not gonna wing it. I gotta get a capital improvement. I need to know what needs to get done. I don't like surprises anybody else. If you can tell me you think you're gonna need a pump and it's $15,000, I work it into the budget so it's not a hindrance. And if that means we have to pull from somewhere else, that's the other thing. You could reduce expenses, but I haven't looked at the expense lines. So do I think they're spending money they shouldn't? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're, but, well, we have a thing where, and again, I don't know if we want to, we signed onto a contract prior to me. It's a 5-year contract, $5,000 a year. And I look at the contract and I say, wait a second, why are we spending $25,000 for this contract if we hire a group of people to do what that contract we're signing for? Okay, so we get a separate company coming in to do something that we're paying the operators to do already. And they're capable of doing it. They know how to service a compressor. But for some strange reason, $5,000 a year is being paid to a company to come in twice a year to service the compressors. I don't know why that happens.
And that's one of the things you're changing.
Yes. So the other thing, I mean, I don't know how this has been run in the past, okay, because I've not been here. But we had an opportunity. We needed 3 hydrants, 4 hydrants, 3 hydrants. A guy calls me on Friday. I told him, get the hydrants. We got to get them in, et cetera, et cetera. The contractor can't get to it for, I don't know, we got one of them in. He's got 2 more to go, but they're at locations he can't do as yet. I told him buy all 3. They get down there on Friday, the contractor, he said, good thing you said to come down here Friday. Because Monday, each one of those hydrants, for no reason other than it's hard to get, went up $2,000 a piece. So we saved $6,000 by buying on Friday instead of Monday. The operators would have never done that in the past. They're just tentative. They want to know that this happens, this guy signed that, this happened there. And I said, we don't have the time for that. It's Friday afternoon, buy the hydrants. I'll figure it out when we get in on Monday. So,
And you're going to use the hydrants eventually.
oh yeah, they already got designated spots. 1's in and 2 more to go.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they're necessary.
I got no more.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Rodney, why don't you look at Birch Hill?
Birch Hill.
Anyone here from Birch Hill?
And I think we should just maybe tell the public, Rodney, you put this together quickly at our request, and there's still work being done on these, and we're going to make them a little bit easier to follow. And
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
This,
Just so you
what
all
you're
know.
seeing up here, listen, I don't know if everybody has done a budget in the past. Try doing 9 in 2 weeks. It's not,
It's computerized hand scratch.
yeah, it's, I got other things
we're
going
gonna
on,
clean
so
it
it's
up.
not like.
We'll get it cleaned up, don't worry. Okay,
So
I just wanted to follow up,
the
too.
senses and the dollar signs and the commas.
how about go to Birch Hill next?
Birch Hill, okay. I was hoping to get the easy, good ones done first. All right,
Now get rid of the tough ones first.
pardon me?
Springhouse wasn't tough.
Birch Hill, all right. Birch Hill, again, you get a sheet like that. Part of what that sheet shows on that chart on the top is the fact that you hadn't had a rate 2017, 18, 19, 20. I'm not going back any further than that. You had 2 marginal rates. Not that it's the fault of Birch Hill, it's just that it's just a weird way of doing things, because as inflation goes upward, you can do the consumer price index, I don't care which one you use, your rate has not maintained or kept pace with inflation. That's the minimum. I mean, things go up. But Birch Hill has the undesirable PFA and PFO They're chemicals. They've been designated as carcinogenic. Yeah, it's a shame that they put a fear in people because I got to tell you, the bottled water you drink, there's no water quality on that. You could have P5, PFOA in them. It's not. You have it in your body now. Anybody who's ever had a Teflon pan or any of that, but it has to be dealt with, and as per the Department of Health. I'm not going in that argument. What we're trying to do with Birch Hill is they have, and we have Birch Hill people. I know you're here, yeah, okay. They have such a small connection. They have 24 connections. It's not even, it's just not feasible for them to put up a plant that's going to filter this, okay? So we've gone to the Department of Health, the engineering firm Delaware has. Come to find out, there's other districts that have the same issue, and they have also applied for a point-of-use system. Now, a point-of-use system is essentially 2 filters with a sampling tap. The water comes in, it goes through those filters into your house, and those filters get changed every 6 months, and they collect the PFOA, PFOs, and that's all there is to it. We're going to be doing that with the operators. It's not going to be a homeowner thing, but the town is going to have to figure out like who's going to do it. I don't, I don't think it should be something up to the homeowner. I think, but I don't know how all that's going to work. And I think these things are being quoted at, $2,000 to $5,000, and it goes in your house. The operator got to come in, change the filters out twice a year, whatever the designated. There's going to be a tap on it. They might have to tap it to test it once in a while. That test is also very expensive. I mean, it's very expensive. So, that's the direction we're going in. They had talked about buying water from Dean's Corners.
Yeah.
It's just not feasible. There's 24 connections. It's just not possible money-wise. It really, it doesn't make any sense. So where you guys are is that you got $12 less in revenue than expected. You spent $506 more than you had planned on. It was a $518 deficit to your fund balance, which is roughly $26,000. The budget this year was $39,695, which meant a $10,800 increase. That $10,800 increase would have pushed you at $112 per quarter. I don't know where the $150 came from, okay? But this is just your budget, your change in your revenue should have been $112. I said, make it $100. We won't put any money into the fund balance, because the lower your fund balance, the better chance you're going to have getting a grant. If you have a lot of money in your fund balance, they're less likely to grant you money. Okay? So we got a $36,000 fund balance, and it's going to be, I'm suggesting that they put the rate increase at $100 a quarter until the cost of the PFAS is determined. Some of that money will go into the fund balance to start the project, and PFAS are not going away. They're here to stay. It's business.
Those people in the district, do you want to ask a question?
Pardon me? Oh.
You come up to the mic if you'd just like to
Yep.
ask a question. Go ahead. Name for the record, ma'am? Your name for the record?
Hi, Rachel Whitehead from Birch Hill. Is the town able to supply us with water while we're waiting for these decisions to be made, since it's not healthy to drink the water that we have right now?
I believe there's a way it could be done. We'd have to go to a local hauler here in the town that has water, but it would be something that you would have to pay for accordingly. It could be arranged possibly, but we'd have to find out what the cost. And if it was as bad as it was, they wouldn't let you use the water, would they?
Yeah, you see, this is the problem. In order to get anything done, they generally try to fear you to death. Like, you see this all over the place. And you have these chemicals in you.
Ron, you go a little bit closer so everyone can hear you?
The only one I have is Star Ridge, but the PFA, PFO, you know, the state says it's 10, you're fine. Or how's this work? The federal government says if it's 10 parts per trillion, it's okay. Yeah, we're not gonna filter it. Delaware, it's gotta be 0. That's how they deal with things. They want it to be 0, which is commendable. I think your PFA, PFO is like at, I want to say 4.5 per trillion. It's not, it wouldn't even register on a federal get the PFA out thing,
Right.
okay? But I think the state is less, or they haven't even determined. I don't know, Mr. Schwartz was looking into this, right?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay, all right.
I know what you know, or less than what you know.
Okay, because you provided Star Ridge's PFAS. You're more than welcome, I can get Birch Hills if you'd like.
Sure.
So you could
That would
actually
be
see
great.
what the rate is. And then, you know, call and look on the internet and you might be able to see where, listen, the federal, they understand that this is a problem, but it's not of the magnitude they're making it out to be. Yeah,
Okay, well,
this is-
my concern is the gentleman that was here with you last time
Right.
said that it was of concern to him, and I do have someone in my household that was just diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
And I have kids, you know, who, if they're 11 years old drinking this water and then move somewhere else where there's PFOs, it's going to be more in their body as they're growing older and throughout their
Well,
lifetime,
actually,
so.
it supposedly leaves your body. That's the whole key, is that if you don't have them, they.
Ronnie, you can go closer to the mic so everybody can hear you?
It's okay.
Yeah, you gotta look into the actual chemical itself. I believe that as you get older, it leaves your body. I don't know how else to put it, but it doesn't stay in your body like other chemicals do. So, and Bill, Bill's a friend of mine, I guess. I don't know, definitely is a business associate. And he has a tendency to be a little exaggerative.
Okay.
Okay. You
So-
know, will you do what you think is best for yourselves?
Right.
But again, I'm drinking this because it's convenient, but I gotta tell you, there's no water quality. If you look to see what they have in these things, you can't find that.
Okay.
Right.
Mrs. Whitehead, just to, I think, answer your question, maybe it's a question for Tony, but if we were to supply you water, it has to be funded by the special district legally, I think, is that right?
it
Yeah,
would.
so I just want to make sure you're aware of that. And then what may be cheaper is, if I understand this correctly, Rodney, any charcoal filter will filter this out, like even like a Brita?
Oh, yeah, there are commercially available. You can go to Home Depot and they'll tell you on the label itself that it's PFOA.
But like a Brita or something like that would
Yeah,
work?
no, they're not crazy.
I had researched Britas and they don't remove them.
Okay,
There were other things that you could buy or have put on your faucet or something that would do it.
okay.
I don't know about that, but there's something called the Burka, I think it's called.
Did-
Okay.
That one does.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure.
You gotta look on the, I don't know, I'm not gonna promote any
Yeah.
particular brand.
Okay.
The other thing you might consider, we get these big, I don't know, it seems like 10-gallon jugs of water, right? That company might actually have a water quality for you. You can see what's in their water, and they deliver a large thing and they put it on a dispenser. I'm sure you've
Yes,
seen this
yes.
and shit. That might be the direction
Okay,
You
but
know.
that's not something that the town would pay for.
I don't think we
No,
can.
no.
Pay for anything.
The district themselves, anyone within that district would pay for.
Would pay for it,
Yes.
okay.
And it's not that we won't, we can't, right?
You can't, okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
other Birch? Oh,
Yep.
yep. Shut up, down right here. How are
Hi,
you?
Julie O'Connor.
Okay.
Hi, I'm just concerned
Can you just come a
about-
little bit closer, ma'am, so
Sorry.
everyone can hear you?
Sorry, I'm concerned about future costs. We have only been on this water district for 6 years. It's brand new. So for you to say it didn't keep up with inflation, we've only been on for 6 years. I was on a separate well, 6 houses. We were told, oh, you can't be on this, you have to combine with the other well, or you have to pay all these testings. So we decided, okay, fine, we'll turn the well over to the town. That's how this came about. So essentially, we went from paying $300 a year to $300 every 3 months.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. But now this year, it's $450 every 3 months. We were not given any information about what went wrong, except a little blurb in the increase letter that said, you failed, and we're undertaking a study, and we're increasing. It didn't say you fixed it, you said you were talking about it, so now I'm concerned that next year, you're gonna say, well, now you're gonna go up another $150 because for what we had to do to fix it. The first increase was just to figure out what to do. And I have,
The first, like this year's increase?
yes,
Okay, I don't know
Oh.
where you got the information that was, I gotta tell you, Birch Hill is carrying a $275,000 debt.
Because
They haven't paid anything, I mean,
you made us make a water district.
Okay.
We were 2
I didn't-
separate
I-
wells.
Can I just
think that
chime,
we're
let me
gonna help
chime in
that
a little bit here, what happened here. The town does not want to be in the water business. Unfortunately, we inherit
Yeah,
these
they
water
make
districts.
choice.
Usually when the builders in the old days, especially Springhouse and a few others, the builders built the houses, made the money on the water district. Once the water district went into the red, guess who got the water district? Here's the keys, good luck. Now, in your case in Birch Hill, there were 18 homes on the original system, 18.
Right.
When we were doing, when the builder gave, well, builder, he's no longer a builder, but that district gave us their residents, the 18. Somehow, we found out there were 6 on, what's that road?
Highview Terrace.
Highview Terrace. There were 6 homes up there that even the Department of Health never, ever knew about. And for the past 20 years, the Department of Health regulations require any system that has more than 3. Once you go to 4 homes, have to be. So you've been drinking water that has been untested, nobody even looking at. So we inherited whatever it was, and when we first came, there wasn't a problem. So it's not that we want it, but you guys had, not you or whoever it was, the authorities had no idea that you even existed. So that makes it even worse.
Right.
And now we only have 24, like Rod's trying to say.
But now also, what about all the houses behind us where that have wells, that I'm sure have the same exact issue
They may.
that we have? Are they even being told that their water
they're
has a
private,
problem?
they're not in a district, they're private, it's somebody's private house, they can't walk in there, they can walk into a district, the Department of Health.
If
they
you
can-
have a
You-
private well, you're
Yes,
responsible for
So-
testing
You gotta
yourself.
get this out.
So
There's
you
too
care
many
about
people.
us, but not them?
No, that's not
Oh,
true.
no,
Look,
It's the Board of Health.
if,
We have nothing to do with that.
I'm gonna tell you, I have my own well. I've had my own well pretty much forever.
Right.
And I've tried to buy upstate in a couple of places, and as soon as they tell me it's an HOA or, I walk away. No way, I want nothing to do with it, okay? So my own well, I test it once in a blue moon. I mean, I don't know, there could be something wrong with it. I don't think 99% of the people test their own wells.
And I'll bet you he doesn't test for PFOA, because when they come to him and they say, listen, that test's gonna cost you $5,000, he's gonna say, you know what? Test for the other stuff, right? I mean, seriously.
Or you buy a
People
filter.
are not testing their own wells, but that's not on us, that's theirs.
Right. Well, we were testing, we probably weren't testing to the extent that you wanted us to test to, but we did, and then Fran said, what they're requiring of us now is just too much for us to do it ourselves.
Right.
Just
No,
one-
the thing here is that we're the Department of Health is actually the one making the
I get
mandates.
that,
and-
I'm just
and-
concerned, like, for example, my 82-year-old mother also
Mm-hmm.
has a house on the street.
Right,
She's on fixed income.
I
You
get
know,
it. That's-
so I'm afraid that at some point, she's gonna be paying $3,000 a year for water.
I don't think that that's gonna get to that, boy, that would be a real fun
Well,
balance, but
well, we're
what
at
you
1,800
haven't,
now, so.
yeah, and I
uh,
gotta tell you, you haven't started paying off your, you have a
Exactly.
debt from all this improvement.
I know. we
That's
got
why, that's another reason that we're trying to get it to where it's a point of view system, and you're not gonna get hammered with some huge
that. That's what I
debt.
wanted to know.
And the point of use is the way to go. And
Okay.
that's the least expensive. Do I think you get a grant for that? I doubt it, okay? But that's because it's so inexpensive. But that only puts you in a position of getting the systems in, who's gonna decide who does that? Does the district do it, or does the homeowner do it? And then the testing's gotta get paid for, right? So, I don't have a crystal ball or anything, but listen, if they bond this here and they say, okay, now you have a payment of $275, 24 people, you're probably gonna add another $50 to your.
Okay, well, that's a lot better than finding out next year that you had to get something else, and now we're going up an additional $300 a quarter.
No.
That's my concern.
No,
Don't say it.
that's not likely, seriously, okay? $50 possibly, and then again, on Birch Hill, what we did was I looked at what they figured on getting in revenue, and I divvied it amongst everybody, and it comes to 413, okay? So, in my thinking, 400 is a fair number. Maybe the electric will be less this year for the pumps, maybe something, but what'll end up being is you might not have as much in the fund balance area, but that's not a bad thing, because you might wanna get a grant, you might be able to get a grant, and all the rest. And we gotta get this bonded, so we show some sort of debt coming out of this thing, and these things are being paid off,
Okay,
all right?
okay.
But, I can't
Well, no,
foresee
I was just
a
concerned
lightning
because I
bolt to
just
knock
keep
out
seeing,
all the wells,
you
and
know,
then,
it's going up and up and up and up, and.
No, I get it.
Next year, you're saying.
but you
it's
haven't
supposed
had
to
an
be,
increase at 17, 18, 19, right? So, and 20, I believe. 21, 22 were the ones that.
Like I said, we're a new district here, so.
So,
Yeah, but it should still ride with inflation, because,
Break it down.
yeah, no, I get it. I'm just a number, I haven't,
Okay.
I'll tell you what, next year, if I'm here in this position, you can grill me to pieces as to where each one of these numbers came from, because
Okay.
then I'll know, okay? But right now, I'm just trying to show you, here's what the numbers are, here's where you're gonna be, hopefully by the end of the year, and this is what we're gonna get done.
And is somebody gonna be telling us what's going on with regard to the fix and?
Yeah, I was hoping there was a fellow, Joe Castellano,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah, he's already, yeah.
Right, now, Mr. Schwartz here is gonna be our liaison for Star
He-
Ridge.
He's on Star Ridge, yeah.
Yeah,
But what'd you ask about Joe?
Joe Castellano.
What about him?
He's gonna be the liaison for Birch Hill.
Is he?
hopefully. I'm gonna reach out to him at some point.
Okay.
Well, I'll
Okay.
walk down to his house.
What's that?
And there's also,
Down to his house.
there
Yeah, if
also,
you could suggest, hey, this guy's gonna give you a holler, it's just, we've
But-
been here, right?
Okay.
And it's just one of the things I don't,
there will also be alerts that if you sign
Yeah,
up for
are
the
you on
alerts,
the
alerts?
so you don't have to rely
so
on Joe.
you should have gotten a letter.
I did. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, I got just a little blurb.
No,
about-
if you go back, there's actually a letter that I think they sent out to both Star Ridge and Birch Hill about the PFOS. It's the 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
and-
was like a year ago.
Yes, yeah, that hasn't changed, that's the same, yeah. Pardon me?
The numbers have gone up. They have changed. They've gotten higher.
Which numbers now?
The numbers that when we started a year and a half ago in Star Ridge, it was a year in November. And then we were notified in January and again in April. We haven't heard anything since April, but from April to November, the numbers went up. And we were notified via.
The P5P phone numbers went up?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's possible, we're not even sure where it came
I'm
from.
just quoting what I read.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're welcome, not a problem.
So Rod, instead of
Yep.
maybe going through every district, because I think it's a little hard to follow, do we want to, maybe we want to see if there's any questions from the public, and then we can.
Well, what I was gonna go is down each one, like Mountain Brook, I'm gonna say, is anybody here from Mountain Brook?
Okay.
Nobody's gonna be from Mountain Brook, and then we're gonna get to the ones
Okay.
that we have to discuss. And just, I don't wanna go do this for everyone, I wanna do this for everyone that shows enough interest to come to a board meeting. I'm happy to,
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go around the room. So right here, we have Star Ridge, so do Star Ridge next.
okay.
We'll go around the room.
All right, Star Ridge.
What was the first one?
Now, Tony and I met with Mr. Schwartz here. Right? Are you gonna come up and ask questions, or? Oh, okay, all right. Well, we went through a lot of Star Ridge issues. he was kind enough to post a letter to his, I guess,
Community?
constituents there. Is that what you'd call them? I don't know.
Community.
The,
Marcus,
neighbors, there you go. And so I thought maybe you'd want to read that or something, but in any event, Star Ridge. There, they again have the PFA, PFO thing, all right? Their rate increased in 17, 18, 19. 20, it was at 0. 21, it was 1.2%. And 0 again in 2022. Star Ridge has probably too many people to warrant a point of use system. I think the Department of Health, in your case, because you have like 98 connections, they're gonna say that's just too much for changing filters and testing. They're gonna actually say we got to put a plant in. Where we stand with that right now, I'd have to say they presented us some drawings. This is the engineering firm. They haven't come up with any numbers until they decide what the footprint on the filtration system is going to be and where it's going to be located. It's probably going to come off the front of the building. It's not going to be that big. These filters are 3.5 feet, diameter-wise, maybe 5 feet tall. So it's not going to be a big building. It's going to be an addition. It might be 14 by 12 or something. I'm just throwing a number out there. I think they're going to put 4 in so they get down to 0. And that is in the process of being designed. Once it's designed, they then come up with numbers. Once they have the numbers, we then can go out and try and find money. Okay? Star Ridge has a couple things going for it. It's got a good fund balance, right? It's $65,000. That's not great, but it's within reason. If anything goes wrong besides the PFA, PFO, we will not have to go crazy on rates for that. But and I proposed an increase there of $85. Now, that would have took you from 166 to 251. These numbers that I'm proposing, okay, are being proposed. They've not been approved, and that's going to happen a little, probably.
before.
Yeah,
next
before the
meeting.
rates,
Our
before
next
the bills
meeting
go
will
out.
decide the rate.
Yeah, so it'll be going from 166 to 251. And then I put on my sheet that depending on the cost, again, with Star Ridge, what's going to happen here, let's say Delaware gives us this number, let's say 500,000, I don't know, okay? And we get grant money, 300,000 a grant. Okay, so you got to pay 200. Okay, so they get a low interest loan. That initial payment will not be took out of this budget. It'll be took out of 2024. If we prolong it another year, it'll be took out of 2025. So we will borrow the money. The first payment's going to be a year from the time we borrow it, right? So that's when you're going to see that money be need some funding possibly. Depends on the fund balance. We might be able to get by and make the payments without, we might do a ban, which is interest only. There's all kinds of choices to this, okay? So until we have a number, I'm just trying to tell you the process. I can't tell you what the numbers are gonna be, okay? Yep.
Ma'am, if you just try to come up to the mic so everyone can hear you when you speak, please.
Well, I have quite a few. I just want clarification on what the gentleman
It-
just said.
it's not just-
So the increase will not take place for maybe 1 to 2 years as
Don't-
opposed to next quarter?
Excuse me,
No,
it's not
no,
just for the
no.
people, it's not just for the people in the room, it's for the recording that you
Oh,
come
I'm
up.
sorry.
That's okay.
I've got a whole sheet.
Well,
So
come up to the mic.
should I let him finish?
Well,
No, we're about done. You come up.
Okay.
I think if I answer some questions, then we won't have to plow through all this.
Okay, well, the first,
This
Betty
increase-
Briggs, Star Ridge Manor, 7 Oaks Lane. Hi.
Hi. That $251 is
Yeah.
gonna be in, well, again, if this group approves what I'm proposing,
Uh-huh.
I'm proposing $251. That will be in your April bill for the first quarter of the year.
Okay. And not the number that was sent in your letter,
I
316.
didn't- Okay, yeah.
Well,
no.
your name's on it, so I'm assuming it came from your office.
No, but that's fine. Been there, done that. No, that number is, that's 251. That, if they approve,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
The other thing that, which I like is shown there, is that you're in one of the districts, which we talked to Tony, we're gonna have to talk to the board about, by usage. We had a person in at the last meeting where you gotta rethink that. I'm not quite clear what that's all about. We put meters in on your houses, and they have a flat fee,
Yeah.
right? So what sense does that make? So
It doesn't make any sense.
No, but there is a reason for it, because the flat rate is in order to make sure that the money that you collect is gonna go, and that's the minimum amount of money that can get collected.
Mhm.
Anything after that with usage
Yeah.
is, but,
But
listen.
that minimum amount for a household of 2 grown adults
Right.
is very high. And I will give you the perfect example. 4 years ago, my son, his wife, his 3 children, a 100-pound Rottweiler, and a 98-pound boxer moved in with us because they came up from Georgia until they bought a home up here.
Okay,
My water bill for 7 adults and 200-pound dogs went up by $2. $2 with 7 adults and 200-pound dogs.
Well, you're getting a
So
bargain
I'm
there.
overpaying
now you are.
for 2 of us and have been forever.
But, see, this is something that.
True example.
There's legitimate reasons, I'm sure historically, for why this was done this way.
Not a clue.
You're right, I'm not either. But you got the meters. Typically, flat rates are because you don't have any way of which to do the water, right? So they say, okay, we're just gonna divide it amongst everybody. I don't care how much usage. And then they come on and they say, well, here we go, if you get 15,000, who uses 15,000 gallons of water?
Bless you.
So they're not collecting any revenue from that. That's why we're gonna take a look at if we get the go-ahead from Tony and he says, here.
And
go
Laura,
ahead.
don't just blame me.
We're gonna see if we can get to a metered rate, right? So
Yeah.
you can, I'm a big consumer, listen, consumption tax is the way to go. Say you wanna save money, then you shower twice a week. I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying that that's a possibility. Right now, you don't have that choice. You got a flat fee of $251.
And don't
that's
use the
that.
amount
So-
of water.
Right, so.
But that's, to me, not an issue. I dealt with that 4 years ago when
Well,
we
we're gonna
had
try
7
and address
people.
that, because I don't think
Okay.
that that's fair.
More pressing. Will the proposed remediation plan and the imposed increase in charges eliminate, not just improve, our current contamination problem?
No.
No. So then what are we getting for this increase?
Well, you're
And
getting.
what plan? If it's
What?
not going to,
Well, let me ask you something. Do you put gas in your car?
yeah,
Has it gone up?
yeah.
Okay. These districts have the same situation.
But wasn't
Their
the-
electric's gone up, their fuel's gone up, their operations gone up, parts have gone up. I just, Friday, not just months ago, 2 months ago, maybe, Friday, we bought hydrants. I think it was $2,000. On Monday, they were 4,000. At 3 days, but it was, they can't get them, so
I understand that, I do.
So this,
And I've done budgets for school board for 18 years, so I
This
do
is a-
understand the budget process. But are your increases to remediate or address our contamination, or are they all administration and inflation costs?
no, okay. They're there. What we've come up with is, I have not looked at all the line items, okay? So
Okay.
say they said we use $7,000 electric and we use 8, I don't know, I have to look at that. But what happens here is that you're gonna need to build a fund balance, right?
Well, you said we had one. 65,000.
That's not, with 100 people, 98, 65,000 is not a lot. You should build up your fund balance, keep it below 100. You currently have a debt. You pay 13,000.
Right.
You got 8,000 or 83,000 to go.
Our debt budget is 17,000. Again, I'm quoting
Yeah.
from the letter that came from your office.
Right.
So Rodney, I think, as we said earlier, this still needs work. And
Those numbers,
Yeah,
yeah.
but if this
But-
is not going to address our contamination.
No.
And Mr. Hay, I wrote you
No.
a letter last January, over a year ago, and asked you, keep us informed of what's happening. So we've been waiting for over a year to hear what's happening, and I just asked this gentleman if this is going to address the contamination, and unless I wasn't listening, not really.
Well, it's
but we
gonna
don't
be
know-
$1 million or more. More
We
than
don't have a
likely. I
number.
would suspect it's gonna be, given the way they charge for things, I would suspect that little plant that's gonna get stuck on there is anywhere from, and I shouldn't be saying this because I don't wanna be held to this, but let's say it's $750,000.
Okay, so
Rodney,
there
if-
are grants, federal, there's state grants.
We're gonna
None
try
have
for
been-
them.
Well, after you've already raised this and started collecting money from us.
Rodney, can I ask a question about this? So
Sure.
if your fund balance is here and you're saying it's not enough for the size of the district, you need to build it up a little bit,
Correct.
and then you have a $700,000 charge for some of the incidentals, I guess the fund balance can help cover it. So
Yeah.
is that what we're doing?
It'll never
Yes,
cover
but
it.
No, it'll never cover it, but
She
I think,
wants-
I think what he's saying is you could raise it 0 now and raise it $40 next time, or you could raise it 20 now and $20 next time, I'm making up numbers.
Well, it's still a big increase.
I think, I'm just,
Okay, but I know there are grants out there, federal and state.
And
And I would hope that we're applying for them during the process, not waiting
we
until the
can't
process.
until we get the footprint, the budget. They're not gonna, we gotta go in with a number to say.
we need the
"Listen,
plan.
Yeah,
They've agreed that this is what we're gonna do, and this is what's been told to us as being the budget, right? This is
Yeah.
what the engineer said, this is what it's gonna cost. We can't go apply for a grant, because how can we apply for a grant if we don't know what we're applying for?
well, you were able to determine what you wanted to raise our increase, not from the 316, but down to the, what did you say?
251.
251.
And how we were able to do that was we took a look at the budget, questioned some things, and said, you know what, here's the deal, like, this is your budget number, right? 109,170. 98 connections for. $278.50 should be the quarter rate, given the 2023 budget. I said 251. Are we gonna maybe not put anything in fund balance? Possibly.
Okay.
Okay, but it's also, if they budgeted in there to have some, you know, in anticipation of a pump breaking, it didn't break, that $15,000 stays in there. So I said, listen, 278 would cover the would cover the expense. 251 is more in line with what I think they should have to pay right now. That's gonna get them a little money in the fund, it's gonna pay their expenses, maybe put a little money in the fund balance, and we'll be ready to go for when this goes down.
So am I correct in thinking that the increase is, as you're saying, just to keep up with inflation and not for professional and technical services people were hiring? That increase is reflective of what?
No, that's in the budget. Those expenses are in the budget currently. But that's not gonna get the building built. That's not gonna get the filtration system.
And nor will the
This is
increase
just,
that you propose.
we have to pay the people that are doing that work, right, the engineers.
So it is
Okay.
for professional and technical services.
On that, no, I don't,
No?
listen, the line says that, I have not dove in and looked at what the checks are written out to, okay? Once I do that, then I'll be able to say, yeah, you know what? Part of that expense that was budgeted is being used to pay the engineers which are designing your system.
But I would suppose that there are grants even to help offset the cost of those designs and those engineers. And I just hope somebody
if-
is looking into it
They are.
until after the fact that a
That-
plan has been devised.
we are.
Once they get their budget together, in there, the engineering costs can be granted. Prior to that, it's a design, they're not gonna grant.
But where are they going to be
grant-
paid during that process?
Listen, they grant money on complete projects. Projects to be completed. An engineer designing a building for this place, which might not happen, they're not gonna pay for it.
And it's also not addressing our contamination problem.
What is it?
The first question. The filtration that you feel we're going to try to explore, will that address the contamination we have right now?
Yeah, that's why we're going through this exercise.
Well, I got the impression that it will.
This, you asked me if that rate
Yeah.
increase was gonna pay for that filtration system. Absolutely not.
No.
Not enough money.
No,
That
obviously,
rate
it's gotta be
is
grants,
gonna
I understand
help
that.
Pay the expense of the engineer to design
Mm-hmm.
the facility that we then get a budget for. We take to the grant people and ask, listen, here's what this thing's gonna cost. It's got a 30-year life. Give us a grant, please.
And that will remediate all the water issues once that's complete.
Okay,
All the PFOA. If they come
Yes,
down with something
right.
else,
With this
I can't
certain
guarantee.
contamination, right.
the numbers that you see in the budget and the one that's prepared, we know what Mr. Rodney's gonna get, and Bill Bright's, okay? We know. We have a contract with them. So those numbers are in there for that. We have no idea what the Department of Health or the federal government, whoever comes in and tells us what you need. That comes later. But for now, him here tonight, and he's good for a year. I think Delaware's got a 3-year contract with the town.
I got
That's
3
all.
year. I don't know what the hell we're,
I think it was similar. It was like a 3-year contract. That's a fixed number. We went out to bid, they had the lowest responsible bid, so we know their number, but we don't know the future.
Do we have a possible timeline? As far as I can recall, we were first notified last January, over a year ago, that the problem was designated the November before that. So as far as I'm counting, we're coming up on a year and a half, and we're just starting the process.
I don't, and I'll tell you, that's why prior to this, I was the mayor of a village upstate.
Okay?
And I kept coming to board meetings and I kept hearing, oh, we gotta get the Giardia and Cryptosporium out of our water. The Board of Health says this has to happen. I listened to that, I wanna say 8 years, okay? It wasn't until I said this, I'm tired of hearing about this, I'm tired about hearing, so I ran and we got it done. You're talking, if we drag our feet, these guys are not dragging their feet, they wanna get this done.
I hope so.
Okay, and they're working at getting it done.
Yeah.
At the village I was from, nobody wanted to do any work, so it didn't get done. So could they push it out for 5 years? Probably. Should they? Probably not. Are they doing everything they can to get it done? Yeah, I think so. Besides
So we've hired consultants,
the engineers.
engineers,
Yeah, Delaware Engineering.
to basically look at our problem and start to develop
Yeah, they're
remediation
looking,
plans.
well, they're looking at the Birch Hill people, the Star, they're looking at a lot of the plants just to see what shape they're in.
Okay.
And I think that's what Bill.
As well as finding grants.
Yeah, I didn't hire Bill, the town of Southeast did.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
as
think in
said,
addition to
I know
the,
that there are grants available out there, both on the state
Yeah,
and federal.
they have a
There are.
grant department.
But there's
that
criteria
does
to meet
this.
them, whether we meet the criteria, we don't know until we know what we need to do, and then we go out and
Yeah.
apply for them.
And-
You're
That's
putting the
what's
cart
wrong. I
before the horse.
apologize.
and there's also a possibility of getting 0%
You're
funding.
That's right.
Just somebody sit on my phone, please.
It's one of my kids.
But now, yeah, and I don't wanna go back
All right,
to history,
yeah.
but
No, I
the
appreciate it.
grants are all, a lot of them are based on.
She said, sit on it.
I know it's my kids because it's We Are Family by Sister Sledge.
That's
There you
flying
go.
a family stone.
Ask me what I have for my husband. You make me want to shout.
Gotta
I
keep it
appreciate
clean, the
your
mic's
time,
on.
but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and for 2 people,
Yeah.
and I gave you the perfect example, I can prove it, how we're already, what I consider overpaying for the water.
Because it's a flat
Two.
rate. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and then now you want to increase it by another almost $90, $80. I didn't do the math, I taught reading.
Right. It's
think
not that I
we-
want to, it's that this is what you're gonna have collecting in revenue, this is what your expenses are, that's the number. And it should even be a little higher, but, like I said, 278.50, that's if you went by the budget. And But I think things are gonna maybe come in a little less in some spots and expenses be not as much, and there you go.
But the goal is to address the contaminants that we've
Absolutely.
identified and the ones that may come up with further testing.
You added that little, you added that part there, I'm not agreeing to that.
I tried to get it in. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Oh,
Someone,
Star Ridge, we're still on Star
okay,
Ridge?
you're still on Star Ridge. Any more comments from Chris? Come on up.
Come on, oh,
Oh,
oh, come on up, get closer, that way we don't have to wait for you to walk all the way over here.
Good evening, I'm Bradley Schwartz. I have two comments. I'll start with the easy one first. This is about the flat rate and the usage rate. So in Star Ridge, and probably a lot of other districts, the flat rate has gone up a bit over the years. The usage rate for excess use, I think we're allowed 12,000 gallons, no, 15,000 gallons. So we're allowed 15,000 gallons per quarter for the flat rate. And if we go above $15,000, we're charged a penny a gallon, I believe it is. And that penny a gallon has not changed in all the years I've lived here. So I would request that Rod look into the usage in Star Ridge and
not
all
just
the,
Star Ridge, all the districts will be looked at.
look at all the
That's one of the
districts
things they found. like,
and come up with some reasonable allowance for the flat rate.
Yeah, I think Brewster Heights, I think, is 17,000. Somebody brought that up. So I think Rod's going to look into all that.
They vary
Yeah.
throughout.
So I don't know whether that's too high or too low. Now, obviously, if you lower the allowance, because only two people in my house, and Mrs. Briggs only two people in her house, might wind up paying less, and somebody with 4 children is going to wind up paying more.
Yes.
But, so the request is just to address that. So the next thing is a question. So you're proposing, Rod, that we have an $85 per quarter increase? Correct. So 85 times 4, that's, everyone would pay $340 extra a year, which times 98 houses, that would mean that the district would take in $33,000 more revenue in the flat rate next year. So where is that money going? Is a lot of that going to Delaware Engineering, or is it?
Well, again, what I have is, and I think you saw these, is lines.
Right.
Where what happens in the general ledger system, somebody cuts a check and they post it against that account, so the money comes from there. I have not looked at the checks, I've not looked at wire transfers, I've not looked at anything that tells me who received the money. I just not,
I think this was, it kind of asked at the last one. I don't think Rod has the answers right now.
right,
Yeah, but that, I understand that, but, and I'm not really objecting to this, but to say that we're gonna increase the revenue by $33,000 by raising the rate, you have to have some idea where that money's gonna go.
Right.
You can't just say, oh, let's raise the rate by $33,000. That's
and-
my question. I don't care what the
Well-
ledger says.
No, but this in particular line item, supply power pump equipment, went from 6,000
Okay,
to
so
10,000.
basically,
there's
so
a
basically,
$4,000 increase
okay,
there.
so
Okay,
correct
and
me
that-
if, okay, go ahead.
But, yeah, because I'm gonna. This one here went what? What's that say, 30,000? It went $11,000, so that's
Okay.
$15,000. Now, what was written out of those lines, I don't know. Who gets that money, I don't know. It's easier in some of them where it says electric, I'm assuming it's, what do you got, Central Hudson?
Nice.
So correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that you are looking at the budget that the town board already adopted,
Correct.
and that's where the $33,000 increase is coming from.
Correct.
But nobody knows why that was increased by $33,000.
Well, if I could just chime in a little
The
bit.
entire, you see, if you've got 20 line items, and they all go up $5, or $500, right? Which is not much. You're
Right.
gonna go up, I don't know how much. it's not fair to say that this particular line item went up 30,000. It didn't. That 30,000 is spread out
Yeah.
through all the expenses. So I
Right.
just try to pick the larger ones.
Right, I understand, okay.
So, and who gets the money from this? I don't know. Like, in particular, like Fleet might get this one.
Right,
Fleet's
right.
the
Oh,
pump people,
I-
you know, but
right,
have
right,
not
I
drilled
understand
down
that.
far. I've gone
Did you
up.
have something to say?
I just want to try to help Bradley. Rod's predecessor is who came up with the 316.
Louder, please.
Sorry. Rod's predecessor is who came up with the 316, and that went into our budget, and that's why we're reviewing all this. So now that Rod's here, he's looked at the numbers to the extent he can in the short time he's been here, and he's suggesting 251.
Okay,
So,
that's the
yeah,
answer.
Yeah, so the first person made the 316 budget.
Right,
We challenged Rod with taking a closer look at things, and
Okay.
he's saying 251. But again, that's, based on a few weeks of work, and definitely not planning on fixing the PFAS and all that other stuff.
now, let me ask one last question. So if the town board adopts the, the $85 per quarter increase, which is gonna increase the revenue by $33,000 on the base rate, is it possible that during the course of the year, Rod may be looking closer at the budgets and may say, hey, gee, that was too much of an increase, and the rate could be adjusted later in the year?
In June of this year,
Right.
we start our budget for 2024,
It's a yearly.
okay? That starts in July, June,
Okay.
July, okay? I have to get it in front, we got finalized eventually. The numbers, again, are to the best of our ability. We've found some errors or things that can be improved, which we're gonna be working on. He's done quite a bit. I'm impressed with as much as he's done.
In a short time, yes.
And, I mean, it is what it is. You can't change the numbers.
In order,
I mean, he's lowered them because the reason they're
Right.
being lowered to the level they're being lowered now is because people are upset, and I don't blame them. And one thing I did want to hear, I heard a couple numbers being tossed out, what the future might be. I would never throw a number out for the future because I'm telling you, it ain't going to happen. No matter what you say, lower, higher, and in Brewster Heights, I've heard it probably forever because it's one of the ones we had the longest. They were told post a bond and your rate will go down. And probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago, people were coming in, our rates are going to go down, their rates are going to go down. They did go down. When that bond was paid off, their rate dropped about $50. It was a year or a quarter, I forgot, but say $50 a quarter. And guess what? 5 years later, it's more than what it was then. So you're dealing with numbers, you're dealing with breakage.
it's the economy.
It's just, you just can't tell.
But, right, okay, but do I understand correctly that you would not want to, if you set the rates at the next board meeting, you would not want to change the rates sometime later in the year?
No.
That's not gonna happen?
No.
Okay, so the next rate change would be this time?
2020
At the end of this year for 2024?
2024, yes.
Okay.
We'll have a better idea
Right,
where we
right,
stand,
okay.
have more opportunity to look through the budget, see what different expenses, electricity, in other words, there'll be a better audit done, actually a real audit to each district, which has not been done in a while.
Right.
See, the problem you run into with that budget solution, or people have a tendency not to, and then if you worked in a corporation, they look at their number and they say, oh, I better spend that money before I don't get it again next year. That happens a lot. Things don't get even billed until like the end of the year. So we couldn't even come up with a number that would make sense. We'd be chasing our tail for that. Like in 6 months to go and do this again, to maybe give you a $5 rate reduction.
Yeah,
It
I
doesn't
get
make
you.
any sense.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
not,
that's
there's
right.
nothing in here we're gonna find that's gonna say, aha,
Okay.
it's $100 off.
So is when Delaware Engineering is in the
Say
process?
only one more question.
I know, but you keep giving me ideas. So Delaware Engineering is now working on a plan for this filtration system. And is it correct that the Star Ridge District is going to be paying Delaware's fee to do that?
No, wait. Delaware is reviewing all the districts, not just yours.
Yeah, I know
All
that.
9 water and 3 sewer. That's his job, and his job as well now.
But
But Delaware is paid out of the special district budgets. yes?
Budget, yes. And
And,
he has a contract to do that work.
So his
But how-
question is just, he's paying a portion of Delaware's bill, and the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
They're doing the design. Like I said, I just recently got.
but I assume that Star Ridge is paying
Their portion.
more because we're doing a filtration plant versus a district that doesn't
that-
have a filtration plant.
We're not
either.
into
I don't
that
know
part
if
yet.
formula-
So is it, Tony, could you say that he's doing a review of all the plans, and then when it gets to the more complicated
Yeah.
stuff, he'll dive into those?
Yes, more so.
Yeah.
And it may cost you more. It
Okay,
will cost you more.
okay.
Yeah, they're kind of large firm, that's why
All right.
they have a good, they're gonna do a good job trying to get grants. I don't know what your medium income and all that is, that
Okay,
totally
thank
taken
you.
into effect.
In addition to the grants, Rodney, I think Bill or you had said that whatever can't be granted, there's possibility for 0%
Yeah,
financing.
I mean, everything, I mean, yes, they've gotten
Okay.
them before in the past, there's a WIA grant, there's a bunch of different things they can get, but, you know, it's something that just, they had, you know, might say, oh, this doesn't make any difference, but they just had a chemical plant fire. All of a sudden, we start getting notices, you're not gonna get this chemical we need. You know, all of a sudden, the cost of that went out of hand. But I say to our operators, how are we doing with that? We got 10 barrels stored down there, we got 6 months, so if it's fixed before then. You don't know what's gonna happen at any given time, you really don't, so.
And Mr. Bright apologized about not being here this evening, but unfortunately, he came down with COVID. Okay, ma'am?
Young lady, yeah? Okay. Hello, how are you?
I'm Tricia Sawakis, and thank you all for all the work. I know this hasn't been an easy thing that you've been doing. And I understand that we have to, you know, everything goes up, it's life, and that we do have to pay to monitor and you know, make sure that everything is running properly. My concern, though, is like these contaminants in the water, like why is it just hitting some of the water districts and not others? Like, why is Star Ridge have to deal, I mean, we have to deal with
Well,
it.
which size gets out of the reservoir? The PFOA is a well-based thing, it's like the radions or whatever they call it.
Radon. Well,
No, there's a
Well-
isotope, something.
Oh.
We drilled a well, had nuclear isotopes or something they call it, and they had to be filtered for that, right? So,
so is it in the rocks? Like,
I don't know.
What-
It's like,
The-
I don't really care.
I'm
It's there,
I'm
I
just
gotta
like,
get it out.
and like how detrimental is that to all of us that is drinking it? I mean, like,
I don't think that's, listen, I'm not.
I mean,
a
then
doctor,
if it's
Bill's
not,
a
then
doctor,
why are we talking about filtering it out?
Because the Department of Health says you have to.
Well, then
That's the
somebody
only reason.
thinks that it's not safe to drink.
Right, but again, they can't even decide what level is not safe to drink, okay?
So they're,
They're still fishing around for answers on some of this stuff, seriously.
no, I understand that. I know you can't answer this because they can't answer it, but it's very frustrating to sit here and listen and be told you have to do this because it's harmful,
Right.
but we don't know how harmful, and maybe it really isn't harmful.
Right.
But you have to pay a lot of money to filter it out of your water system
Our
because,
village had a $2 million plant put in, and we got grants for it, okay? And it was for Giardia cryptosporia. Do you know any of those? They're
that-
called ground source. So in other words, we had a ground source similar to a reservoir. They test it, and they said, oh geez, your ground source, you might get these things. With that water system been there 100 years, we never had any problem. Quarter mile down the road is the town pool. Guess where Cryptosporium and Giardia live? They live in that pool, but do you think they did anything about filtering that? No, absolutely not. We had to change our water. The pool's fine. If you want to swim in there, it's at your own risk, go ahead, swim in there.
Okay.
And you could get Giardia or Cryptosporium, it's just, you get sick to your stomach and diarrhea, right? You're not dying from it.
so
So
we,
we had to pay $2 million to get that out of our water. And we
Right.
never even had it in our water.
right,
Can-
so
can I-
we don't
can I
know
chime
where
in?
this is coming from.
Well,
Well,
Bill
can I
said-
try to
I mean,
answer
like-
that a
I'm
little
s-
bit? I'd like to
Oh,
try
I'm
to
sorry.
answer her. Different than some of the examples he gave, PFAS are introduced into our water system. It's a chemical that we made and somehow got in the system. A common way that it gets in is in firefighting foam. So at the last meeting, Bill had guessed, I don't know, that, potentially Birch Hill, maybe there was a car accident on Route 22, it's 20 years ago, and that fire foam made it into the well, so.
But then that company who made that foam should be held responsible.
But we don't know who,
Well,
when.
that's
I'm
just
saying, all right,
one
let's go
example.
down
The
to the-
non-stick pans in your house have it in it. Like, the McDonald's wrapper has it in it. Everything we make has it in it, so.
So then the government should be looking at that.
Well, they're banning PF,
You're
most
escalating
states.
my job now, so.
But I mean, like,
Most states have banned it
Just helping
now.
the town
I'm
side.
sorry, it's just very frustrating that
I hear you.
it
Listen,
seems like, well, if we can't escape it, because it's all over, like,
I don't
then
think we
we're
could
making,
solve that, though. You know,
I don't
if-
know, it's just nerve-wracking, should we even be drinking water? Like, how is this affecting all of us? Everyone here, are we gonna end up getting sick?
It's all over town though, it's not just there.
I would absolutely say no. I really would.
I'm not,
Well, I hope you're
My
right,
concern-
but,
what I would be concerned with is an infant, and that they're starting accumulation from, little, right, until they get.
but, yeah.
You probably started accumulating it more recently in your life, and it does go, if you read about it, it actually gets through your body. if
So
not-
it's been in our water a long time, we just didn't
We
know
don't
it
know.
We don't know.
because
They didn't-
we
they
didn't
didn't-
test for it,
They
is
didn't
that
know.
it?
They
So
don't
we've
know.
been drinking it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was no,
You use a Teflon pan, that's
I don't
very
use
good.
Teflon,
Right.
no, I
You use
understand.
something that doesn't stick, and
No.
it's got PFAS in it.
If the Department of
it's
Health,
still-
if the Department of Health felt there was a real serious problem, which they did find at one point in time up at Springhouse, okay? The wells were deemed contaminated and they had a truck in water. So they test all the time. That's why these gentlemen come. We have JCO out there, now it's called H2O. Their job is to do the testing. They come quarterly. Some
No,
people.
they came into my house, I just moved here not too long ago and told me my water was fine, like 2 years ago, and I was thrilled.
And it could have been. And it may be bad now. It could have happened overnight. You don't
Which
know when it's going to
district?
happen.
Which district are you in?
Yeah, some of these people that don't think they have it, I think they're gonna find they have it shortly.
And 2 years ago, there was no testing for PFAS, correct, Rod?
Right,
So,
that's why there's no-
so 2 years ago,
There's no-
it might have been there
All
anyway.
right, maybe, I don't know,
Yeah.
just one other question, like, do we have a timeline? Like, has the government said you have to address this and correct it by a certain time,
No.
We're not under any kind of,
time constraints?
it's not like it has to get done, no.
And if it was serious, they would put a time limit or close it down.
What was that?
I said, if there was a time limit, like they did up at Springhouse, they contaminated the well, and we had a truck and water to that district.
Oh, I don't know that.
But that would happen. In other words, if there was something serious or wrong. You know, you're only a few people here in a sense, okay? With water districts, we have 9 water districts. Do you know how many people with private wells that might have the same thing and have no idea that it even happens? I never had mine tested for PFOA and
They're
PFOA,
expensive
but maybe
tests.
I will.
They're not gonna, they're expensive and it's not required, and most people are not gonna spend that kind of money for a test that might come up negative and might be positive, but nobody's sure.
And
You know,
again,
this little bit is good or that little bit's, there's just no real number to it, that's the problem. Nobody's come up with
So is
that.
it in our blood? Like, five
it,
blood?
we don't. It
Can you
just,
Test for
me?
PFAS while you're in there.
ma'am, if you get
Thank
an
you very much.
activated,
You're welcome. I'm
if you get an
sorry.
activated,
Come up.
I'm sorry, I hope they,
I just wanted, oh yeah, that's
single
gonna come up. I
Not
just wanted to
you
know,
again.
when was Delaware, I'm like
A little closer to the mic, please.
Betty Briggs again. When was Delaware, whatever their name is,
engineering.
hired?
About
How
6
long have
months,
they been
about
on
6,
the job?
about 6 months,
6 months?
approximately, yes.
Okay, so
I got
3,
hired in
so we're talking about October maybe?
I think they were. before
More
that.
September, before that,
I was
around
hired in October.
You were?
Delaware was
Yeah.
before me.
Okay.
September,
They
late
recognized
September.
it was an issue, and they said,
Okay.
No, it was earlier,
put
Bill
out
Bright.
a ad, and I answered it.
Well-
I've worked with Delaware
Okay.
in the past, and they said it might be a good.
Well, I think we're 7 months since September, so if you say half the year, you're probably in the area.
Yeah,
October, December, January, February,
6
March. 6 months, okay.
Okay.
God gave me fingers. Thank you.
Okay,
Let's hope we don't go past 10.
come on
All
up and
right.
speak. Just come on.
Oh, all right.
Don't be
You
shy.
Identify yourself.
Oh, sure. Patricia Brady. I'm going to keep this simple, talking about, I'm in Storage Manor, and I want to talk about the flat rate. There are people who have underground sprinklers that run the water during the summer, you know, for 20 minutes. I think that's about 1,500 gallons that you use in 20 minutes to do your lawn. Are you going to supply new meters to the individual homes for people who use less water? Or are you going to keep a flat rate?
I think there are
we're-
meters,
we're-
right? There are meters.
I don't know if there is or not.
In Star Ridge, I thought,
Starbucks has meter, Berkshires the only one that doesn't have meters, that's what I'm being
Yeah.
told. But now,
We have meters in Star Ridge Manor, individual meters.
That's what Rodney said.
So when you redo this whole system, are you gonna put in new meters or keep the old meters that we have?
No, the old meters are gonna stay. Yeah.
They are.
There's no reason to change them out.
So what happens with people who use less water, who really conserve on using water? We're still paying the same
No,
thing
but
that
that's
somebody
what
else?
That's
is?
what, that's,
Well, that's what I was,
that's what they're gonna look into.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay.
looking into, I'm a consumption tax person, right? I think that if you use something that you have to pay for, if you decide you don't wanna use it, you shouldn't have to pay for it. You guys
Exactly.
are in that position where you're paying for somebody else's water. So why that is, we're trying to figure out. That's
Okay.
historic. And if there's a real reason for it, I don't know what it would be. I do know that they, at one point in the industry, they tried to keep a flat rate, and then anything they got out of usage was above and beyond. They could stick it in their fund balance, okay?
I'd like to have a fund balance, you know, but it doesn't
So you
work
want-
that
yeah,
way,
so
but,
you really want it, so it's,
Oh.
slush fund. But anyway,
Yes,
yeah, you want a
yes.
slush fund.
but all right, because I'm
But
very
we're-
careful with the water
We're gonna look
usage.
into that, because I think that that's a big problem. I really do, because they're
Okay.
not getting any revenue from that usage.
Right,
The guy says it's a penny. You know how many people, over a year, you might have collected $2,000 or $3,000 in usage. That's not good.
all right. Well,
Anyone
thank
else
you for
on
the
this
job
side
you're
here?
doing.
Who would like to come up and ask a question and speak?
Are we on Star Ridge still?
Well, we're gonna go, we'll go around.
Oh,
This-
okay.
This couple right here, are you good? The gentleman in the next row? Are you good? Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anyway. Who are you?
We're going around the room.
You were here last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, I actually do have one
Come on up.
Come on up.
for Star Ridge. There's nobody asked.
No, no, no.
Are you in Star Ridge?
I'm not, but somebody should have asked this question.
Whispered in my ear, oh no.
Walter Sadowski. What happens if nothing is done with any of these issues, like these PFOs? Is the government going to make everybody move? What's the situation? How do they shut you down? If this has no effect and they can't figure out what the number is, then it's zero.
Listen, I've had this discussion in the past.
Well, I'm just curious because these people sit here for a while and nobody asks a question. What if you do nothing? And then tell me the process.
What I would do is, that would be more of a Delaware engineering question. I would certainly get back to you with the answer on that, because I'm gonna do a follow-up, like I did a write-up on the last questions, and there'll be the questions and the answers, okay?
Okay.
And I'll, that was neat. All right, I will get you that answer. Walter,
Sadowski.
I can just, okay.
In the back? Nothing? Sir, way on the end, at the back?
How about the
Okay.
video guy? You got anything for us? No? Is this live? Hi, Linda. No.
Okay.
Who do we got? No?
Any last
We're
questions?
saving you for last. How about these two gentlemen? No? Come on, dude, you were here last time. No? All right, how about the two in the back there, yeah?
No.
Not here for this?
Comment.
Pardon me?
You made the statement, we don't know what's in the bottle.
Correct.
And you're correct, we do not. But I do know my water is contaminated. So there's the big difference. I know for a fact we have contamination in storage. I don't know what this does. Maybe it doesn't, but it's a 50-50. Storage is 100%. We're contaminated.
Okay.
Just a comment.
Oh, okay. Didn't know where
Okay.
the question was in that. Anybody on the board have questions? John, you're big for questions. No?
Not at this time, but thank you, Rod, for all that you
Edwin?
presented
No?
today. Thank you.
No.
Eric?
Nothing else, Rod?
As you know, in the next 2 weeks, we'll work on this,
Yeah, oh
have the
yeah.
new rates, and
It's
come,
my life, Tony, I gotta tell you.
and by, it's something that's gonna be worked on. We've heard a lot of comments, and every one will be looked into. And
Yep.
if there's a way to adjust them, we're gonna get them adjusted.
All right, Michelle, any questions?
Good.
You're good? Will? No? Okay.
Okay.
I can
Thank you.
leave? Yeah?
Next will be discussion parking commercial vehicles. in
Oh,
res-
wait.
Oh, wait a second.
Can you come to the mic for the recording? Sorry.
All right.
Kathy McBride, Brewster Heights. Are you doing the water in Brewster Heights, or are you finding anything I'm questioning my water in Brewster Heights. Every morning I get up, use the bathroom, and then I close my eyes and I flush the toilet and I try to guess what color it's gonna be. It's either green or yellow or
Now,
gray.
you know we were at your house.
Yes,
We took
you were there,
pictures,
and you
and
said
we
there was
filled up-
nothing wrong with my
Filled up a
water.
white cup, and I don't see the discoloration.
I said that
That's,
you,
but I'm not disagreeing. What we
Right.
should do is we'll put you on the list of people being tested if you want, or we could actually,
no, there's something wrong. When I do my laundry, and I run the water, and it goes in there, it will burn the hair in your nose from the smell of the chemicals. It's all chemicals. There's nothing else but chemicals in the water. There's something wrong. Who's putting the chemicals in the water?
the chemical, and it's all.
Is that you?
It's all tested. Me personally, no.
Yeah.
The operators,
And do
yes.
you test it after you put
They-
the chemicals?
absolutely.
I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
I wash my clothes and it takes the dye out.
Okay,
Nobody wants to believe me. This has been going on for 6, 8 years.
but we have to see it, you know what I'm saying?
Ms. McBride,
I took a
But no
picture
one
of the wall.
comes anymore.
I-
But we
No
did.
one
We were
comes.
just there the other
I
day.
know you
Oh,
were just
okay.
there the
But
other
that's the
day.
first one I
That
got.
was, and you were there because of the water leak at the bottom of my hill. Did you ever find out what that was about?
No, we don't know that, we went to
That
the.
pipe,
fill-
there's a
Okay.
broken pipe on my hill.
Okay.
And when I fall, what's gonna happen?
When we went to your neighbor and I told you there was a broken pipe, he was not home or didn't answer the
Well,
door.
nobody knows
We are-
nothing. This is
we-
what I mean.
we are-
Nobody knows about the broken pipes, nobody knows about the plug
Well-
pipes, nobody knows why the water's green or why it's purple. I mean, what's going on
We're
here?
gonna take a run around Brewster Heights, okay? Not tomorrow, soon. Take a look and find out how many people are having the issue that you're describing.
Well, you
'Cause
know what?
right
People
now-
are busy working right now. They
Well,
really
we'll
don't
do
have
that
time to
night,
come
or
to
we'll
a
do it on
meeting
the
and
week.
stuff
No,
like
we're
that.
gonna
Miss-
go out
Miss
and do
McBride,
it. We'll go-
Nobody has time.
There was a year ago, so not this summer, the summer before, there was a ton of issues with water discoloration. I have a
Yeah,
few friends that live up
discoloration,
there.
broken pipes.
Let me finish. They would reach out to me all the time. They would reach out to JCO, and it seemed to be not resolving itself. Myself, the board, we got very involved and started asking a lot of questions, and that's one of the reasons and one of the times we brought in Delaware Engineering and Rod to see what could happen. One of the things that we did, because there was a few individuals who were more vocal about this, which was good, we set up like a special process for them. So if they got yellow water, they could come out there within a minute, go to their outside spigot and test the water immediately. So that's one thing.
That's not gonna happen.
No, it did happen.
I
It
know
was,
people
well,
are
hold on,
busy.
let me finish.
I waited how
Th-
many
well,
hours? 4 hours?
Ms.
the
McBride,
other
please,
day?
let me finish. So, we did all that, and I've been checking with them constantly if their if they're still having water discoloration. I've asked them to reach out to me anytime there is, and I checked with them tonight before the meeting, and 3 of them said the water's been much better, and it was crystal clear today. But back to people working, one of the solutions for that was you could go to the outdoor spigot and take the water whether you were home or not, and you kind of communicated that beforehand with your agreement.
Right.
So it could be a
But what-
solution.
What I think it is I think it's the chemicals that they're putting in the water in the bottom of the Brewster Heights Hill. The tanks have rotted out, the water is ruined your clothes, I mean, come on. Who's putting the chemicals in the water? Now, I read in the paper where Putnam Valley is suing the chemical company that put chemicals and messed up their water system. And they have a problem, and they're going after the chemicals that were put in the water.
So I don't know if Rodney, I think the waters, maybe you could comment on how it's tested or.
Putnam Valley? Did you
Well, not
read
Putnam
about
Valley,
No.
Yeah,
but.
No, it was
Bristol Heights.
Putnam Valley.
I haven't read it. I would have to.
I have
defer-
the article, but I mean, like, their water is contaminated. It's contaminated from the chemicals that the people put in the water.
Again, I don't know if that's a water district or they went to somebody's private well and determined that there was bad chemical. I don't know.
I
I
don't
will have
know.
to figure out the article.
We
Yeah.
should stick
But
to Brewster Heights, not Putnam.
Brewster Heights had an issue with flow. They slowed the flow down. After that, it's caused the water to be clear. If Eric's got something.
Some days it's clear, but when it's the day they're gonna put the chemicals in the water, it's not clear.
But they-
I'm drinking that stuff, okay?
They put the chemicals in all day. There's little automatic pumps that just automatic, it has to go in all day. The chlorine has to have a certain amount of contact. They put chlorine in, it can't just rush through the system because then it doesn't disinfect. It sits in the tank and it gets its does what it does, kills the bacteria, and then it's allowed.
I'm just saying, I don't like
It all
it.
gets tested. The Department of Health.
Well, nobody's coming to my house and tested
No,
it.
they-
Nobody's saying, oh, can you drop off a
We
jar
can't possibly
today?
test the 240 people.
Well, I'm just saying, hey, I'll bring it to you.
And they
when
have,
it's dirty.
we had a process set up where
so
they
we can put
would
you
leave
on
a,
that list.
they would leave a little jar there, and when it happened, they would, put it, and
Well, I
they would come grab
appreciate
it that morning.
Maybe we could find out what's wrong.
Do you, well, we'll speak later.
Yeah.
Because we'll get her the process.
Maybe somebody
and
put
then
too much of something in, you know what I mean?
It's all, I gotta tell you, you could, I hate to say this, but you
We
could
need
come
a
down.
scientist,
They
that's
are
what we
scientists.
need.
You gotta go down to the plant someday and see how this all works.
Oh,
And
you're
you-
not allowed in there.
You can come as my
You're
guest.
not allowed
You
in
can
there.
come as my guest.
They don't want me to see that they
Well,
have
that-
a nice water cooler.
Oh,
in
they
there
don't,
for
you see, this
themselves.
is.
See, he
this is
just
some weird
invited
little
you.
thing. I've never even.
Well, put me on the list, would you do that? Put me on the list?
Well,
then?
I'll call Dale first thing in the morning.
There you go.
Okay, oh, Dale.
Hey,
Come
look
on,
at-
I'll start with that again. You didn't even
Yeah, no,
recognize him.
I would appreciate it, because I just really feel there's something wrong with the water. When it comes, it's got that many colors, you know, it's like a
No, you can just go
rainbow.
up.
All righty
Just,
then.
wait, hold on, there's another gentleman. I don't think we're doing it by district. If you have a question, just come
Oh,
up.
no, Walter.
But, but,
covering the district, what the proposed costs are. Like-
I was gonna try and get through all the districts, but I think we're at a time
What
constraint.
did you want to know?
Oh.
Which one?
Oh, Brewster Heights, obviously.
Oh, okay.
I think most of us here are from Brewster Heights.
All right, Brewster Heights. That has not changed, I can tell you straight up. You are running at a fund balance deficit of, let me see, $49,000. Okay, so, where'd you go? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I missed you there. Additionally, what we had talked to today with the accounting and Tony, there was a payment made out that's, apparently there's a debt incurred by the Brewster Heights Water, all right? And a large part of your expense was paying a portion of that off, a large part, like $250,000 worth. It's all, when you get this sheet, you'll see this, okay? It has, pardon me. Pardon me. A yearly payment for a band, $67,500. You got a balance of $698,000. Okay, that's not including an additional non-bonded loan from the general fund, from the general fund.
Okay.
Okay, the general fund went this district money.
And even at 0%?
No, I
sir,
don't know the
I'm
payment,
sorry,
but I
There's a
think.
can you
minimum.
go up just so the recording?
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, sorry, Walter.
There's a minimum. I don't have the exact percentage, but it's a low percentage. 1.8, maybe 2.
Okay, so it's not 0%.
No.
Oh, that's way before my time. I just recognized an expense in this budget that I got, and I said, "Ooh, what is that? That's huge," right? And I was told that's a debt that you guys have, and that it's in the general, and they made a large payment to it.
Okay,
I don't know
and-
how much it is? I don't even know that.
Got-
This is a separate debt.
That's fine. I understand what you're saying. There was 700,000 approximately, and then we somehow ran another $50,000 in debt that the fund had to cover. The general fund had to cover, and we owe them 50,000 plus interest.
Yes.
Well, it
Based on
doesn't
these
cover-
round numbers,
yeah,
48, might as well call it
You
50.
could have more.
Well, okay.
I don't know.
My question is, because I'm looking here, that the rate increase, you're suggesting $80, 79,
Yeah,
so bringing our quarterly to 521.
no. Your quarterly. Do you know off the top of your?
I think,
He's suggesting 345
345, correct.
as your rate.
What this,
And what was the previous, just for the water?
It was 266 last year.
So that would be $80, yes, 79.
Yeah.
79.
I put all
So I
this
think,
away.
I think what Rob was saying there was that he feels like there's risk, a little bit of risk with the 345, right?
Based on current expenses, 345 will be another shortfall.
Now, oh, here we go. Okay, I'm sorry. I put this number that you see here because what I'm showing here is that this is the revenue budget. This is what we're expecting, this is what we put in the budget to expect as far as revenue. That's the number of connections and number of quarters. Your rate per quarter should be 521. That should be a quarterly rate if revenue is to meet 2023 budget target. We increased it. I mean, we left it the same. It went from 266 to 345. We left it there. Are we gonna have? I was comfortable with the 345 because I'm hoping that it gets bonded and there's a legitimate. It's not a $250,000 payment we got to make next year. So that maybe if it gets bonded and they say, okay, this principal is going to be $70,000. That's cool. We're in the range and we can cover it.
And none of this is dedicated to or anything else for the improvements that are necessary within the infrastructure. That's a completely separate thing. So
No, there's money budgeted in there. We got a filter that we're fixing down there. There's money in there for that.
I think from the last meeting I had garnered that perhaps there was something wrong with the infrastructure, and you had mentioned.
No, Bill was talking about your guys' main.
Correct.
Right.
Ignore him.
No, Bill, listen,
I think he said it was a 6-inch asbestos pipe.
It sounded at the last meeting like we've had,
That's why
like the $1 million project over at Birch Hill is.
We're gonna stop that. It's
Okay.
not necessary. We're not gonna have him or anybody suggest, unless I see with my eyes and these guys agree, then we can go for it. But short of that, Bill would like a Cadillac. It ain't happening.
Gotcha.
You guys got a nice Ford custom truck. It's going down the road. Leave it alone.
Will we be appointing a liaison for Brewster Heights? Or the district known as Brewster
Well,
Heights Special District?
The reason I did Birch Hill and asked that Birch Hill and Star Ridge, because they have the PFO issue, okay? If there's a monumental, unless you want to.
I'm not volunteering, I was just asking.
No,
If you were seeking out for each district, because it sounded like
I
there's different issues.
originally was, but then when I saw what's going on here, and I said to myself, okay, let's do with Star Ridge, Birch Hill, they're definitely in need. We're gonna need a liaison so they can go out to the customer.
Gotcha.
I don't have a problem going around, but these people know these people, and I trust them more than, you don't know me.
Gotcha. And there's 245 people in Brewster Heights, so I get it. Okay. I have nothing else. I guess you're gonna give some more
And Bruce
information.
Heights includes Eagles Ridge
I
as well.
think they want me out of here. What's that?
Yeah, Eagles Ridge as well. I know, that's why I'm
okay.
saying, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you, welcome. Tony?
Are there any
Oh.
more questions on any of the water districts? No?
Okay.
Brewster Heights being raised so much?
I'm sorry?
Why is Brewster Heights quarterly water bill getting raised so much?
Yeah, you gotta speak into the mic here, but,
Thank you.
they have no fund balance. The question was, why is Brewster Heights being raised so much? You have a large debt, which isn't even all realized, and you have a large, or a small fund balance, no fund balance. You got a negative, you got a $55,000 negative fund balance. Which that means is you have no money in savings, and you borrowed money from your mom or something.
Okay.
Is it a
So
numbers
there's
I'm good?
no chance that this is gonna be reduced at all?
The 79, well, what might happen, are you guys in a metered situation, the usage and all the rest?
Yes.
It's
I
just
think
a,
the condos, or, yeah.
Oh, the
right?
condos? I don't know.
No, they're
The height.
metered, they vary. Some don't have a meter and estimate.
All right.
The way they
Yeah.
built the condos, there's no way to meter them.
Yeah, well, yeah, right now, nothing is.
It's a flat,
They take
yeah.
the meter reading and then
Yeah.
just give you a flat rate.
Right.
We're gonna, but that's not gonna be this year. That's gonna be
Right.
next year. Maybe
Okay.
if you're a family of two, you might realize, oh,
I'm
you
one.
know, a family of one, okay, well, then you might realize that.
I can run my water all damn day and it won't even
I-
put a dent in it.
I hear you, and I feel for you guys, but gotta give us a chance on getting this
Yeah.
done, okay?
Okay.
they're on board, I think, as far as looking at this, and then
Okay.
we'll present them the numbers and then go from there. But-
Thank
but,
you,
yeah.
thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
not a problem, my pleasure.
Okay. Rod, you and I will be getting together a bunch in the next week and a half and get this straightened out
Be
the best we can.
still my heart. No problem.
Thank you for
No
putting this,
board questions? No? No?
again, thank you for putting it together
my
on
pleasure.
short notice, and you've got yourself a task.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Any questions? Any of these guys, if you got some concerns or questions, send me an email or a call.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Enjoy the evening.
Next is discussion parking of commercial vehicles in residential zone is prescribed in the town zoning regulation under 138, attachment 3, column E, number 9. We got a recommendation from the building department. You have in front of you the parking of not more than one commercial vehicle in a residential zone. Such vehicle shall not exceed 10,000 pounds as indicated on a valid state registration, nor shall have such vehicle be more than 25 feet in length. Any commercial vehicle other than this one exception shall be parked in a garage. There shall be no parking of commercial vehicles other than prescribed herein. Exception, more than one commercial vehicle is permitted during the active work performed under permit by the town, county, and our state. We've reviewed this once before. I'm fine with it and like to move it to a public hearing.
Comment?
Oh.
I think this is a change from what he suggested last time, or maybe I
No,
misunderstood.
the only
but-
thing we added was something I said, and add state. That is exactly the one he put forward before.
Okay, I thought he had said no commercial vehicles at all. So-
No.
So it looks like all he took out was the 11 PM to 6 AM or whatever, the overnight
Yes.
part of it, okay.
I'll send you the original one tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, I have it open on,
Okay.
oh, not his, I have our current code. Isn't there times where it's appropriate that people are working at your house and maybe there's not a permit? I mean, does everything need a permit? I don't want to make a law that's not enforceable.
Exception, more than one commercial vehicle is permitted
Well-
during active work.
Why don't you,
Isn't that, I didn't understand, or I didn't get the question, so.
If there's
I
work
read-
at your house
Yeah.
that requires 2 trucks, is every bit
Well,
of
that's-
work ever done always need a permit?
Oh, gotcha,
This-
yeah.
this is more overnight now. This is
No,
not-
it's not
I read this
overnight.
as you're the homeowner who owns a commercial truck or business, and then you're bringing your truck home and parking it in your own driveway.
How you read it might be fine.
I don't have
but-
the full, I
So as your
don't,
example is like, say Comcast
Yeah.
brought 2 trucks to your house.
Sure, great example.
And, you know, there's no permit in place from the town.
Right.
can you pull up the actual law? Because I think this is only for overnight parking.
Well, the original law says that you can't have any commercial vehicle overnight.
Okay.
He took that away, so now you're allowed to have one.
That's what he's
even
recommending.
overnight, right. But you can only have more than one if you have a building permit. So to John's
No,
example,
that's-
well, that's what it says.
Okay, then tomorrow, send an email to Michael Levine, ask him to clarify this.
Okay.
And Will, if you didn't post that, don't put this one in the paper for a public hearing.
I could do it in a general sense.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, do that then, and clarify it with Michael tomorrow.
Okay.
That's not the way I interpret it.
Yeah, I mean, just as and I'm not saying my thing would be, to your point, if it just said is permitted, you know, it's during active work that's being permitted without a permit. I mean, you know, I don't see the necessity for a permit from any level of government if there's active work being performed.
Right.
If, you know, the intent of the law is basically to prevent numerous commercial vehicles being parked in a residential property overnight, or period.
Well, during the day, if someone's working on the property, you can have 10 vehicles.
Exactly.
Right,
So,
but that's not what this says.
The way this is
But-
reading, it's requiring a permit for such work.
Okay,
Because there's no, he wanted to remove the overnight restriction because we don't have code enforcement to enforce it. So this entire code is gonna be about daytime now. So the code is gonna say you can't have more than one commercial vehicle during the day, which
Well-
I don't agree with.
If someone raises a complaint, we can have enforcement overnight. That's possible.
But that was his reason for wanting to make this
Okay.
change.
Okay,
So
yes.
the way this is worded says you can't have more than one commercial vehicle during the day
Without a permit.
without a permit.
Okay.
Right.
Do we, tomorrow?
Yeah, well, yeah, no problem.
Forward it to us so we can see. I interpret it different than what you're saying, but I had spoken to Michael, and we made that change. I thought it said something else. Call him tomorrow, and we'll get it done.
Sure.
Okay. Next is the fun one, number 3. Discussion, local law to amend the zoning for keeping of animals, chapter 138-93. Now, that had been forwarded to us a while back from the planning board. We had some comments from various board members. We made some changes. We sent it back to the planning board. They have sent it back now, and they incorporated the changes we had suggested. I think it's ready for public hearing at this point in time. And if anyone wants to make it a further change, shouldn't be a problem, I would think.
I'm fine. I know it was Eric Larka who had the most concerns last time, so if he's good.
About the
I'm
most,
good.
but
Yeah.
we had concerns and they were addressed.
Yeah, they were, the 3 or 4 I had were
Yeah,
resolved.
and mine were addressed as well.
Okay, I'm good.
So we're gonna move that to the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to the regular portion of the meeting.
Second?
Make a motion? Did someone say second?
Yep. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first is a resolution establishing erosion and sediment control bond, Bolts, Cloverleaf, 1051 and 1055 Route 22, tax map ID 68.1-2 and 3. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be established for the project set forth below. Project name, Bolts, Cloverleaf. Bond amount, site improvements, $3,293,000. Erosion and sediment, $262,300. And be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk to the planning board secretary and building inspector forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, a motion to set the public hearing for Thursday, March 23, 2023, amend Chapter 138, Attachment 3, Column E, Number 9. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to set public hearing for Thursday, March 23, 2023, to amend Chapter 138-93. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Recognition of the public.
Hello.
Okay, my name is Jose Guerra. First, I want to try to give one copy of each guys, and then what I want to talk to about this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first is my English not that perfect. The lady was with me. She had something to do and she left. But I tried to explain to you guys. We have Mr. Tony give it to us the solar, electrical solar field for 3 years to do the football tournament for adults. We have activities for kids too, all right? And we follow all the rules he's telling us to do it. In the beginning, we sell food to eat, to the people. And then he told me, I'm not available to do it, we stop. We have sell drinks like sodas, Gatorades, bottled water. Then Mrs. Kathy, I think, she's when I come in to pay every Monday, I pay, for using the field every Sunday. She's told me I'm not available to sell drinks.
Yeah, and I could probably give it a quick background on that, because we've tried to do events there too with vendors or food trucks or whatever.
Mhm.
And the land at the Electrazone field, and Tony, jump in if I mess this up, we don't own the land. We have a lease on the land with New York State.
New York
and-
City,
New York City, and
Yes,
this-
yeah.
and the lease says that you cannot have any food, drink, vendors,
Correct.
that stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
I
not just a rule for you, it's for
Yeah,
anyone.
yeah, I understand that. I understand that, but when I let them know you guys, whatever it's told me do it, for the football soccer league, and Brewster Soccer League, I do. I say, don't do this. I say, I don't do it, okay? And he say, no drinks, you know? No sales, anything. And we confront to do the tournament. Well, we still have the big problem there all the time. No where I play. This is before. People's drinking there. A lot of people go to drinking.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, we be there. I check it out, the garbage cans. Now, because it's cold, you see the bottled wines. You see the bottle for vodka, for a lot of more drinks. I have no the feel. And when I came to try to get the fields again for this year, he's told me not, because a lot of people's drinking there. You know, when I got they say the complaint is the drinks and the garbage. Garbage, I'm cleaning. Every single day I using, I clean it, we put the garbage in the garbage bags. I check it out early in the morning again, before I go to work. If I see garbage, I collect again, because people is coming to find the bottles and cans to sell. But rip it off the bags and leave it the garbage outside. And they're available to do, I do it quickly and keep it clean. And about the problem with the people's drink, you can see the first page is with the contractor, you know. The second page is one letters I bring into Mrs. Cathy, to the office, to give it the complaint that people's drinking there. It's not the players. Many cars is coming for New Jersey, Connecticut, is parking there and drinking, it's never watching the game. I have a couple of pictures, a lot of pictures, where the people's almost drinking in the street. It's not on the field. And when I give her these letters, she says she's got to be taken care of. Don't worry. And every time I come to pay, I say, please, I don't want to lose the field, because people still drinking. You know, he said, okay, don't worry. We give us some phone number to call us. We can help you. Either he's told me he's got to give me the phone number for, I think, the gentleman in the back. Yeah. But I never get that phone number. Yeah, I never get that number where I can call him. You know? But I had the proof where I said, I got this complaint. I don't want to lose the field for that part. Okay, and we was with the mayor too, and explained what happened. We have that problem with the drinks. In the last page, guys can see the letters that the mayor is want to help us with the cops. We think we can work it out about to fix whatever it is. It's no, I don't think so. It's good choice to say no more. We wasn't working. Another chance. If it needed more clean, we clean more.
Yeah.
When we finish the tournament, whole group, a lot of people's coming and help me. We go to the bushes and next to the river to clean it up and make it nice and clean, because I know that water is go to the city.
Does when you talk to the village, I think we mentioned this last time, because the Wells has bathrooms and facilities, and I don't think they use that field. We try to use the Electrazone field for some like Little League and soccer, and quite frankly, I don't know if there's any grass left, so that is some complaints that we got. So did you ask the mayor to use Wells?
Yeah, when I talked with the mayor, and he says it's there, but we go there, it's really mud. When you're walking, mud, where there's a lot of water and
muddy.
Yeah, it's impossible. It had 2 stone drinks in the way, where the people can break it's really small. And about the grass, and where I play now, remember, that's what was for baseball. The park, it had no grass. It's never have a grass because it's sand. Those guys that live in sand in there. It's never removed. I offered with Tony. One day we got a one meeting here. I said we want to try with a lot of Spanish there. You have a companies, landscaping companies. He said, and in the season, we want to try to remove all the sand and bring good dirt and put a grass on it. We want to try to get something good there too, you know. Either it's almost no grass in there. Without keeping, it's like that. Believe it or not, why? If you guys can pass every single day in the afternoon, my guys, or any Spanish, I say my guy because it's Spanish, you know, he's played there every afternoon. You can see the kid, 9, 10 years old, he's played there every single day in the afternoon. And that's where I came. I say, please, if you can help with us and give it a game, I can give you the offer now from you guys, and in the season, you guys can give a permit to remove all the sand and put a nice dirt and put a seat on it for getting good grass. We had no grass for a long time. When I came here, it's almost 30 years ago, was a baseball fields over there, you know. It's sand. It's never I see grass in that part, almost half the field. I don't know, you guys can help with us with that?
Mr. Guerrero,
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken to you, I've given you audiences, but somehow you're just not listening to what I think I'm saying on behalf of the board and the town.
Mm-hmm.
Some of what you're saying here is not true, quite a bit of it.
Like what?
Well, the drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you're responsible, but you're having an event where people are drinking, and nothing was done, okay? You don't clean up as well as you think you do, and we're bound by rules and regulations of the New York City DEP. Now, you have an application here, it says total participants, 600. Do you know how many 600 are?
Yeah, wait.
600. Then you got an application with 400 adults and 200 children.
Yes.
We can't, if the New York City DEP came up here and saw as many vehicles that are parked down there, all over the grass, all over the road, leaking oil, not that you're leaking oil, but when you get that many cars, that many people, it becomes a nuisance and becomes a mess. We can't do it. Now, I would tell you to write someone, but then if you write them, we might lose that field because we're bound by them. We have a license. I think it costs $100 a year. And we would lose that license. Now, we have events down there. We have our veterans monuments down there. We have a gazebo there for small events. But when you bring more than 50 people down there, it is not good. I say no, okay? The Recreation Department has said no. You're a nice person, okay? But we can't allow this to happen. We will lose that field. I'm not one to jeopardize it. Now, the board's here tonight, and if you want to do a quick poll, I'm saying no. I wish there was a place we could put you. It's not our field. It would be different if it was. We are bound by the New York City DEP, and I don't want to lose that field. We've had it, I will say, in our family, in other words, in the town of Southeast, for decades. And this will kill it. When you start off with small, like anything, and it's good. You got a lot of participants. It means you're doing a really good job. But you became so good, you've outgrown that field and that location. We can't do it.
Yeah, but and this we say 600 people, 4 adults and 200 kids. We never got that kind of people there. It's less, a lot less than that.
I'm going to tell you right now, you have a lot more than 50. And I would say, 2 teams go down there and play, like softball. That's fine, a couple spectators. You bring in a ton of people. You're great. Maybe Putnam County should find something for you for tourism. I mean, you can bring in a bunch of people. But we can't do it on that tiny field in that tiny little location. Can't do it. Anyone on the town board have any comment they wanted to add to it? I mean, believe me, I'd let you do it in 1 second, but we have a lot to lose, and I'm not willing to lose it.
Yeah, but that's the complaint for now. You give me for me for 3 years. And in the
Because you
first year,
got-
you guys can see it what you told me now.
And we warned you year after year after year.
What I
And you
feel
grew
is
and grew and grew.
something different now.
No,
Believe me,
I-
something so
I-
different
I-
because
I don't believe it. But
because
at any rate,
because you say about complain now about the 600 people, 4 adults and 200 kids.
You wrote it.
Kids, yeah, you signing. You guys signing the 3 years. You signing in the back. You give a proof.
what-
I never told you 50 people.
approved, well, that's.
I had the
that was-
signing for you guys.
That was last year, and that was the end of it.
Yeah,
Because
that's the last year.
it
They
became-
have it for 3 years, the same thing.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't that much when you started. Okay, look it. We're not, it's not a formal vote, but the Recreation Department has said no. They've told you repeatedly. Drinking, what goes on down there is not good for anything, okay? And I'm a no, it's not a voting session, but I'm not willing to do it. If someone else wants to do it and thinks this is fine, no. And Ms. Judine is not here this evening and didn't know you were coming, but I'm not buying it. Sorry.
Well,
I'll just chime in. I don't think permitting any town property was intended for one organization to get it for the entire year. I mean, it's, you know, Cultural Arts wants to put a concert at the gazebo, we let them pick a couple of dates. I mean, you're looking to rent town property for the entire year, and that's just not what it's meant for.
yeah, I
You know,
look
if
it up
you're gonna
down
run a-
every Sunday.
If you're gonna run a league, a successful league with hundreds of people, like, you need your own facility. It's,
Yeah, we did it because nobody using. That's why we want to try and apply.
It's not that they don't use it,
And
it's
not-
limited to the amount of use. You know, this Brewster Central Schools has property. I don't know if they lease it out. Now, I understand the village, the property you were speaking of, is kind of really expensive to rent. Ours is like dirt cheap. But we don't do a lot there. We can't. There's not a lot we can put there.
And we don't own it.
I know you guys is not the owner. This
So
is well, I don't know what step we gotta do, you know, because we gotta try, it's the only recreation we have the Latinos in here.
Has
You
nothing,
can see that a lot of kids is not in a computer. We're thinking about that something different too. A lot of kids is not in a computer, not in a phone, is with us there, because that, the parents is there. You can see the mom, the husband is play, kids is play with us, we do a piñata, we do something to keeping the kids busy. Comparable is staying home every Sunday and get say on in the TV and say in electronic thing. We try to do something different to help us kids too. I'm not thinking about just only for us adults. We're thinking about the kids because that display, some is wanna come to see the kids play. You know, it's get a nice event outside to stay inside all the time. But I tried the best I can. What I say is,
and unfortunately, your best in this case is just
as
not
if everybody say no, but because every time I hear about Tony say no, everybody say the same. I don't know about in each one that you guys.
Well, I'm not the boss. I mean, I've
You
experienced
know,
it.
because
We've been doing this for,
what I hear about the ladies help me is about Tony says everybody say no. If I want to you guys
now
hear
you're
us.
speaking, now you're speaking out of tune. I don't think I've talked to these gentlemen about that other than when you've been here in the past.
No,
I'm not telling
we
them
try.
something.
We try.
I'm not telling them.
One day, we wanna try to get one meeting, everybody together, and you talk to the lady. I think you was on vacation last week,
Me?
or on 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not liar to you. He's talking to the lady. We got a meeting Friday. Then he said, call me later because we're gonna meet a Friday to you guys, you know, like a private to discussing this. And then Monday, she's calling him and say, no meeting. We say no, it's no. That's why I wanna try to you guys hear me to me too, because I'm the organization, you know.
Well,
I mean, I appreciate that you've come here more than once, but I think, again, as politely as we can, we've tried to explain to you the situation,
And I think as politely as we can, we've told you over and over again, yeah, it's just not possible. You know, as good of an intention that you have, we're also just legally bound by, you know, DEP. And again, we can't jeopardize, you know, for one organization, then that we lose the field for the whole town.
Yeah, this is the first time I speak with you guys directly. The first time, Tony says no because he wanna talk to you guys. He suspended
You came, like you said, with the young lady that time, and you had quite a few.
We
people
tried.
with you, and we
I think.
spoke that night, and I think
Yeah,
that
because
night
it's so busy. I know.
We were kind of clear that it was
It's not.
kind of a no then, but fine if you didn't.
And that day,
walk away with
that day I remember, we're not talking we're talking now. Now it's more clear. Now I hear everybody say no. It's like, well.
They didn't say no
That's
yet,
what
but
I
I mean,
think.
you brought 4 kids
I
the last
think-
time. But we've told you offline. I mean, I'm the day-to-day operator, okay? I don't speak for them, but I'm going by a rule and regulation that we have to abide by. Now, if they want to violate that, they can do that, but we're not going to do that. That field has been there for decades, and the number of people that go there is not good. There's tremendous amount of drinking, and no, when you're not there, but it's in the village. That's not in the village. No.
No, the village line is in
It's
between
right
the
there.
gazebo.
The monuments are the
Yeah, the streets.
We can't do it. Bottom line.
I mean, legally, we can't give you a piece of paper. Then something, whatever happens, we're going to be at fault. They're going to say, well, you signed the paper. You know, we just legally cannot do it.
No, but this we give every time we do it, where the page is missing there is insurance. We give it the own insurance for Brewster Soccer League.
Okay, the answer is no for me. They want to override me, they can. And I'm telling you now, we are not losing that field because of the number of people that are on it.
I understand now. Now what I say, I feel better now because everybody hear me. What I want to say, I want to try to convince the rest of the people. Because yesterday we talked to you, Tony, not with everybody. Now I don't hear exactly everybody, but I keep it. You say no.
I think
I can do anything.
As
You know,
Tony
I don't
said,
know.
I mean, I think you've done a great job, and that you're so successful down there. But you kind of have outgrown that field. If there was a bigger field there, with better, not amenities, but access and land that we owned, I think it would be, it wouldn't be a problem. But I think there's so many regulations on that field.
Yeah.
And again, you're doing a great job. Have you ever tried to connect with, what is it called?
Brewster United Soccer.
Brewster United Soccer?
No.
Because they
The only I do it now is with Brewster High School. I send it to Brewster High School and make it like a group. I send the email already, but I still wait.
There's a gentleman named, I know his name because it's like Dean Martin. That's his actual name. He lives on Milltown. He runs the United Soccer League, and I don't know if it's going to fill all your needs, but he.
Where do they play?
I don't know.
Oh.
But
They
are
play at Brewster School.
Brewster School.
They play on Brewster School fields.
Okay.
And
My
they
kids
changed
are
their
playing.
name too. I can't.
United, yeah.
No, I
but-
think it's. Did they change
It
the?
used to be called Brewster United Soccer. I don't know
Right,
if
but
it's
yeah,
called-
they changed their name.
So the point is that when I spoke to him, the guys running that want to not be involved anymore. Their kids are grown up. They don't want to do it, and they've been looking for coaches, people to be involved, volunteers. And I'm not saying that's going to solve all your issues, but it could be a really good next step. But again, regretfully, I don't think this is the right place for you guys. And maybe there's some other places. I think you could rent like the field off Kenosha, which is a huge field. But this is just not suited, I don't think.
Patterson has, town of Patterson, I hope they don't beat me up but I mean, they
Yeah.
have fields that they own. We don't own a large field.
I
We
know.
don't have a football field. And again, I don't know what the school allows or does not allow. They've got like a football field, and you can play soccer there. I don't know what they allow. Contact them and see what they do. You need a big field. We don't have a big field.
I know.
A couple of people go down there and play, practice, not a problem. But you have, I wouldn't say you have to have some police there, but I'm telling you now, the drinking that was going on, and the mess that we picked up. Now, before you get there, there is somewhat of a mess, because that's like the Village Brewster. That's where they go play. Now, if they go down there and play, and, I mean, we can't police it every night, but there's like 10, 15, 20 people, and they're drinking down there. We do the best we can, but we can't be everywhere at once.
I know.
It's pretty bad down there.
So the website, it's Brewster FC. It's brewsterfc.org. And they have a whole bunch of information on here. They're looking for volunteers, they have registration. They have a website. Dean Martin is the president. And maybe it's just something you can collaborate with them on to, do something. I don't know.
And find out maybe where they play. Maybe they have a field available for you. But
Yeah, what I say, I play for the high school too, in case we do this one here, because another point in here, I know it's say no, but another point is try to get the business to the town. People's coming for another, like Carmel, Somers, White Plains, Denbury, is coming Georgetown, and they spend the money in the business. In Brewster.
There's also
appreciate it, but
there's also a field being built by co-backers. Maybe they would have interest.
Yeah, and we still give some money to the fire department. Now it gotta be a stop, because we do every year. We get this tournament. We give $1,000 in the beginning to the fire department, to help them, because I know he's doing good jobs too. And in the season, last year we give $1,300 more. In whole year is $2,300, to the fire department to help them. Those guys.
I mean, you have the town of Patterson close by. You have the town of Carmel. They all
we try to find
They all own big fields. Our town does not have a big field.
Okay, maybe in the future, maybe it's change them. You might, we're here to try to continue doing,
Well, look at, you started something very small and became very big. You became too big, unfortunately, for our needs, okay?
Yeah, all we will have 16 teams.
16, but
Yeah.
that's a lot.
It's
That's-
eight games a day.
When you first started, you had, a little pickup game, and then it got better and better. But our location that you want, we can't accommodate.
I know.
Yeah, it's not you, it's the location.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a good
What
night.
you can do, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. No, we didn't put you on the spot.
Scott Stevens. I was at the Brewster Village meeting with him, and Wells is it's probably better to go in there and ice skate than to play hockey. So that was his problem there. And I was just at Patterson last night, and they're fighting over fields up there.
Okay.
So I mean, everyone's got the same problem. So I wish the gentleman the best of luck. I'm here from the Facilities Planning Task Force. We're finally getting to the point where the district has putting up a bond issue on the school improvement. Just wanted to come here, take a moment of your time, give you some highlights. We've had a number of forums. We do have one last forum, which will be next Tuesday, and it's for the people that weren't able to attend the night forums. There's a day forum at 9:45 in the morning at JFK. It'll be the last forum before the vote, which is the following Tuesday. Just some quick high points.
Scott, are those Q&A, or is it just information?
Information and Q&A.
Okay.
The first proposition is approximately $60 million. The most important part of that is that it's tax neutral due to falling debt, retired debt, money from the federal government and put aside other planning, and just the way that the perfect storm falls, it actually turns out to be revenue neutral, tax neutral. So I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment right there. The biggest piece of that would be a cafetorium at CV Star. That is the last school that really hasn't had enough done to it. That'll give a setup where a whole class can meet either for lunch or for events, and that is going to change the whole scheduling in the field. Another big point related to the fields is that we're redoing the football field turf and redoing the track. And at the time they're doing the track, they're going to be putting in another field, because as we all know, fields are at a premium. So we're all putting those things in at that time. And like I said, the high point, and I can't say it enough, as you guys pointed out to me at a number of meetings, tax neutral. The second piece of the proposition is approximately $24 million. That's more quality issues to the school. There will be incredible, the biggest piece will be a STEAM lab. I believe they just opened one in Carmel or Mayapack, so it's nice to see that we're getting on board. And these are items they're gonna figure out, especially for people with younger students, that they will be able to benefit because it will take some time. There's also talk of a sports shed. So there'll be another building, once again, improving the sports facilities that'll be built towards the back of the school, and little improvements through the whole thing. For improvements to our community, in regards to the track, they're gonna be putting an outside link around the track, which is gonna be concrete, so it'll be able to be plowed in the wintertime, so we'll have more access for the community. Additional parking spaces, the whole works. Once again, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you have had a long evening. If I could ask one favor for behalf of the district, I've been going around to the towns and they've been agreeing to put up flyers, posters, or putting out pamphlets. If there's a public area, such as the clerk's area where people to come in, if it's acceptable to the
There's a bulletin board right outside by the front door.
and if I could put one there, now, this is a bigger reach. We have one that's actually poster size. It's pretty big. If it's possible, I could bring it by, if somebody wants to look at it, see if it's appropriate for it. Once again, it'll be here approximately 2 weeks. We'll come by the day afterwards and remove it. If that's something that the town feels it's appropriate, we would appreciate any work on behalf.
Is it just informational? And not
Purely
like
informational.
Vote yes?
And how big is it?
I wrote vote yes on it, but it's poster size, so it's about that big. It is full poster size. Like I said, if it's too big, I have one up in the village. Hopefully we'll have one up in Patterson tomorrow.
Where is it in the village?
In the town clerk's office. Ms. Chiodina agreed to put it up for us. So, but.
Scott, I have a question about this. We've talked about it. I will not beat you up since you're not on the board, but I will.
That's right.
I'll email the board.
Yes, complain to them.
Give us a copy, please.
But if there's any questions, I'll be more
complaint,
than
just a
happy. But if you need some information, I'll be more than happy to provide it to you.
Of course.
And once again, we appreciate all you do for our kids because it's all, community-wise. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thanks.
I've gotten
Hi,
six.
Lori Bell. Just quickly on the heels of what Ed just said, I was at their presentation last night.
I didn't. Hold on one
Tuesday
second.
night, the school district's presentation. And I went there with preconceived opinion. And then they did such a great job in the presentation. And it was definitely Q&A. You could insert as they were talking, or you could wait till the end. We looked around, and I think there was all of maybe 4 or 5 people that weren't either administration or on one of the boards or PTA and it was really disappointing to see that lack of interest from the voting public. And Victor Carlson, who did the presentation, he made it a point to say that the voter turnout is it's terrible. It's like 10% of the population, and it's really a shame because after their presentation, it was so detailed and so engaging that I left there in a different frame of mind, honestly. Ed just made it quick, but that whole second proposition with the STEM lab and all of that, I mean, their architects and engineers have some really interesting stuff that they want to do for the kids. And at the end, I said, will the adult public be able to utilize the new facilities, like with additional adult ed classes? And they're like, bink. Oh, I'm like, that's a great idea. They never even thought about that. But they're talking about, 3D printers and just stuff seeing HVAC in the walls and in the ceilings and electrical, so you can literally see it, almost like a mini BOCES. I was like, I want to go to school again. It was really that well presented.
I'm trying to keep there's one thing about, I'm going to say it now. Since
You were on the planning committee, right?
I was on the planning committee for most of it. I have a little issue. It was a terrible way to throw me off. Anyway, my biggest concern with all of these capital projects with the school is specifically the architects, right? So the last
You mean their fees?
Not their fees, their design.
Really?
So the last architect, if you go into JFK, it was built beautifully, but the function, it was form over function. And not only that, it inhibited some further additions the way it was built. So my question will be, if you get the money, how are you going to spend it? You and I could build a kitchen. I could spend $50,000 on appliances. You could spend $3,000. And we don't need 50 grand appliances.
If you look, and I'm a big negative person when it comes to why are we doing all these additions, makes me crazy.
I don't know why I'm going here.
But what they presented last night was they are forward-thinking. They're looking at flexibility of the use of the spaces. They are looking to maximize accessibility. It was videotaped, so I'm sure it's on their website if you want to watch the presentation.
And
that was
I
done.
should say that the architects now are not the architects
Correct.
that did the other one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in, only because I was there. And like I said, I was disappointed that so much went into the presentation and how many years of research, right? And there was literally 5 of us
I've seen it
from
a
the
few
public.
times.
I'm just saying, if anybody's interested, take a look at it, because it's a lot of information. That's why when Scott said it's poster size, it's a lot of information, but I think you need a poster size to at least get the major points across.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Town board?
I have no comment.
I had sent you earlier the draft, well, not a draft, another town's resolution opposing the governor's housing bill. It was very specific to that town. So just if you guys could all just read it, see if you agree in concept, and then.
Well, I'm gonna send I'm preparing a letter as well, and see if you agree with that. We can, I'm making ours specific to the town as well, but
Okay.
I'll send out. If you don't like it, we
Yeah, I mean,
toss it.
I think I'd like
And
to
if
do
I
the
do use,
resolution,
if we do use the one I'm gonna call the gentleman Somers and ask him if we can kind of plagiarize it.
I asked him for it.
If I could ask, add a little bit, I was the town's delegate at the Association of Towns Convention over the President's Week, and there was a resolution which I introduced where the Association of Towns of the State of New York is opposing that entire theft of home rule. So there is a number of people working in the same direction. All the towns are across the state are on board in opposing Governor Hochul's mandate.
Yeah, so I'd like to see us do a resolution just to get the ball rolling. Because that town was voting on it tonight, so I figured I'd share it. So
I think it's a good idea to have every town in this state do the same.
So what, Will, you would be the one to edit it to make it Southeast
I'd be
specific?
happy to
or-
edit whatever you need.
You received it today, right?
I did see something.
Okay. You edited it, good.
And,
Got a volunteer.
Obviously, I'm not at their town board meeting tonight, but I fully expect that it passed, so.
And you did ask if we could.
Yeah, I asked the supervisor
We try to,
for it,
usually there's
yeah.
one that's generic that everyone shares, but
I actually-
I haven't seen one yet.
I reached out to Assemblyman Slater to ask if any towns in his district had passed the resolution yet, and Somers is the first tonight. So I reached out to the supervisor of Somers, and he provided me his draft.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to close the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.